Hello, and welcome back to the final series of Breaking Bad Influence. Oh, the times they are a-changing.
Alright, here he is, the renegade of rock, the wacky winged one, it's Andy Guitar Guru Craig!
Okay, well, we're not changing that much. That's right, it's the renegade of cock, Andy Air Guitar Crane. If you're hoping this leads to anything substantially important, you'd be wrong.
Later. Much later.
I don't know about you, but I wish Violet had stopped changing her bloody hairstyle.
I'll be strutting my funky stuff with this virtual guitar with the special help of our guest star this week, Craig McLachlan!
Who? Oh, it's another soap star turned musician. Hooray, what a fitting guest for a show about video games.
Glad to be quite in control.
This week we've also got a review of Panzer Dragoon on the Sega Saturn, and the real Violet Berlin is checking out Earthworm Jim 2 somewhere in America. She's finally escaped. Fly free, sweet Violet, fly free.
But first, 1995 is going to be the most exciting year yet for video games.
Look, I'm just going to come out and say it. Sonya Saul is extremely posh. I feel like she's eaten all of her words with a golden cutlery set. Anyway, we're taking a look at the brand new Sega Saturn first, and the wonderful games that will flounder upon it.
But the Saturn manufacturers weren't happy with the game, so they've now put out a cleaned up version. It's called Virtua Fighter Remix, and it features much better graphics and more polished gameplay.
Does it? I literally can't see any difference, but we'll chalk that up to the piss-poor quality video footage I'm working with.
In America, if you brought a Saturn, they'll send you the remix free, but in this country, it'll cost you about £30.
They don't call it the land of the free for nothing. £30 for an upgrade to a game they've already deemed not good enough. Really helping people onto your side there, Sega.
The next super console to be released in the UK is this one. This is the Sony PlayStation, and it's out this month. All the software comes on these funky black CDs, and the machine itself is really small and neat. It features these weird-shaped joypads with 4 control buttons on the top.
Never seen such a thing in my life, Andy.
One thing to watch, though, now the games do come on CD, is you can't save your position. The PlayStation only has a tiny bit of memory reserved for saving positions, maybe 1 or 2. So actually, what you need is one of these memory cards.
Why have you got it in the Player 2 slot, Andy? No one wants to play Tekken with you.
The subject displayed.
Some more familiar hardware is getting a special boost with some special extra kit. There are big plans for the Jaguar this year.
Oh, Sonya, you are a laugh.
You can expect to see games like this one, The Ruinous Forces, a Space Marine Corps shoot-'em-up.
A Space Marine Corps shoot-'em-up. How minimal a description do you want to give? You could slap a picture of Warhammer on Space Invaders and give it the same description.
But what about the other Japanese games giant, Nintendo? Well, there's still no official word about their super console, the Ultra 64, although we have managed to track down this rather tatty photograph of it. The Ultra 64 coin-op game Killer Instinct.
Coin-op. Coin-op.
Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time.
Was scheduled to be the first game released with the home machine, but because of the delay, that's been cancelled and replaced by, you'll never guess, yes, Killer Instinct 2.
So, last series, you may remember that they told us that the Ultra 64 would be getting an arcade-perfect version of Killer Instinct, which I scoffed at. So now they've changed tact and gone with a sequel instead. I wonder if it'll look better than the original arcade game in that case. Put your bets in now.
On the other hand, the 3DO is still alive and kicking,
Sonya Saul makes me feel like I'm being babysat by an inappropriately saucy nanny.
and now has a stable full of really top software. In the last few months, killer titles like Return Fire, the smart-looking text-to-map strategy war shoot-'em-up,
Are you just stringing words together, Sonya? What did any of that mean?
the smart-looking text-to-map strategy war shoot-'em-up. Most exciting of all, it's a top-secret news that by December, the 3DO will have a brand-new add-on cartridge, codenamed M2. These pictures are from the graphic demo disc of a new racing game that could be released as early as this year.
Ah yes, the classic graphics demo, which ends up looking absolutely nothing like a finished product, even if it ever comes to exist at all.
We just have to wait and see.
Yes, I'm sure we will.
If you're looking to buy a new console, then our advice is all the hardware's pretty clever, so
Clever? That's the most dad way of explaining a console I've ever heard.
Look at the software available and choose whichever machine's got the best selection of games for you.
Sensible advice. I don't think it really needed to be said, but it is sensible advice.
Now it's time for a brand new feature here on Bad Influence. Every week, our games expert Violet Berlin will present some of her personal views in Virtual Violet.
That's right. They've cleverly managed to avert an angry mob of culture warriors from both sides of the fence by removing a white woman and replacing her with a black woman, and then removing a black child and replacing him with a white woman we've already had before.
Gamers are about to be overwhelmed by a slew of sequels. Classic games currently being warmed up and worked over include Magic Carpet.
You know what? It's nice to see Violet finally getting her own section, but Jesus Christ, what is going on here?
FIFA Soccer 96. One better than 95? Well, everything's new and improved, of course, and they finally got round to including real club teams. But the best new player has got to be...
And he shoots! They're back in the game!
Smith?
John Motson, commentating live on the PC CD version.
Oh, well, that makes more sense.
Quite remarkable.
I feel like I've been spiked.
On the SNES, there's Donkey Kong Country 2. Donkey Kong has disappeared, so in his place, meet Dixie Kong. She's a girl, well, monkey,
Just say female, Violet. It means the same across species.
with a killer hairdo. More old faces. Fade to Black, the sequel to the classic Flashback, should provide those who haven't had their memory erased with a happy sense of deja vu. Hero Conrad Hart is back, and no doubt totally disorientated to find himself in a 3D environment for the first time.
Much like anyone who attempts to play the game, because it's as intuitive as controlling an electric wheelchair with a Casio keyboard.
And finally, there's a sequel to a sequel.
What are these camera angles?
Nasty characters, new and old, more gore, endless unpleasant special moves, and a collection of animalities, babalities, and fatalities that would churn the stomach of a psycho. In fact, I feel ill just thinking about it.
Well, come on. Round of applause. That was a lot better than the boring old shite they got Zed to report on, even if the terrifying camera angles gave me flashbacks. Next up, we have a review of Panzer Dragoon on the Saturn, one of the best games, if not the best game, for Sega's ill-fated venture into the 3D realm. So you know what's coming, right?
I was wrong.
When you start playing this game, you think it's going to be something spectacular, but after you've played it for a while, you realise how limited the gameplay is.
Here we go, Sohail, with his awful opinions, of course. But most importantly, has he just been to a 70s-themed fancy dress party?
The main emphasis of the game is just shooting, and after a while it gets really boring. You've got 3 viewpoints in the game, one on the back of the dragon, one further out, and one further out still. You can also look round 360 degrees, which is the only good thing about the game, is it lets you see the enemies that are approaching.
The only good thing about Panzer Dragoon, you can turn around. Just let that sink in.
I think it's the best game out on the Saturn at the moment, but at this price I'd save my money for something a little more playable.
Jesus wept. The Saturn doesn't hold out much hope if this is the height of enthusiasm kids have for the games.
It's difficult to see the enemies because they blend into the background and the levels don't vary enough, but the gameplay is quite addictive.
I felt sick when I played this.
Posh Kid only felt sick because he invested in the 3DO last week. He's trying to tank Sega from the inside. I know your game.
And the scores for Panzer Dragoon. Both the girls and the boys gave it a never mind the graphics, feel the gameplay, 3 out of 5.
Next! Stop!
Get your motor.
Thank you.
Oh well, if like me, your musical talent is best used on a pair of maracas, come this way because we've found the very thing. If like me, you're a wannabe rock star. Want to find out if the fantasy is anything like reality? We just happen to have our own friendly rock star wandering around the studio. Rock star and actor and general nice guy Craig McLachlan is here with us, and he's playing a tune for us.
Okay, right, stop. Wait right there. This is just a weird 90s guitar hero, basically. He was making it sound like he was playing an actual sort of MIDI guitar or something, but it looks like it only picks up on the strumming at most.
And you're having a lot of fun with it, aren't you?
I am. This thing is wild.
So, how does it compare to, like, playing a real Gibson Les Paul like this?
Well, it's kind of different.
That is correct.
This game looks peak 90s, but equally, I don't think he's hit a single note on time so far.
For people who aren't necessarily into learning an instrument but are right into computer games, here we go. Look, power chord section. Excellent. Again. Look at us. I feel a new band coming on.
If you stick with it and make the grade, then you get the chance to cut a few tracks with Aerosmith in the recording studio and then go all the way to the Humonga Dome and play on stage with Aerosmith in front of thousands of screaming fans.
Or 5 screaming fans and a fuzzy JPEG.
The virtual guitar will be available for Christmas, but Craig's new single, which is called
If We Were Angels,
will be released
in a couple of weeks' time.
and does not feature the virtual guitar at all.
Fortunately.
Mercifully. Right, time for some smoking rock and roll.
Yeah, we're
2, 3, 4.
While Andy practices to be a superstar, early this...
What the fuck was that? Was that supposed to be sarcastic swooning? Posh people should be better at doing fake swooning than that. I've seen enough period dramas to know that posh people swoon at the drop of a hat. Come on, Sonia, step up your swooning game. Anyway, Violet's off to see Dave Perry again. Not that one. That one.
Here he is, the great man himself, clearly deep in thought. Now, we've arranged to interview Dave about his new game, Earthworm Jim 2, which he's almost certainly thinking about at this very moment.
What is happening?
Bursting onto the screen this Christmas, The Worm is back. The sequel is packed with new features and crazy creatures, with pig shoots and granny movers, just 2 of the devious new perils that the worm has to slither past. Everyone has their favourite level, but apart from the unicycling maggots, what tickles Dave's fancy?
Dave? Dave who?
The programmers split the play area into strips from the top of the screen to the bottom. Then they let the strips scroll across the screen separately at different speeds, which gives the illusion of depth and a 3D feel.
What we found on Jim 2.
Look at those pants.
The computer has to make thousands of calculations a second to work out where the soil is falling from, where it will land, and then what shape it will form for Jim to walk on. A real mathematician's nightmare.
My first reaction, you can't do that, but they persuaded me to give it a little bit harder try.
Presumably, if he hadn't solved the problem, Dave would have taken out his other arm.
Dave? Dave who?
Dave's not here!
This technique made Jim move incredibly smoothly, but for Earthworm Jim 2, the animators wanted him to look even sexier.
Sexier?
Continued to use the paper animation like we always had, but we drew a separate shadow layer onto the paper and then put that on top of these images. And when we put the two together, we get this image here with the shadow on top of the drawing, and it gives it a little bit more dimension. And the shadows actually animate with the drawings.
Nice work, but not as sexy as Dave, eh?
Dave? Dave who?
They're determined to run this one into the ground. Also, just having Violet sitting there silently watching him while he sleeps is a very strange choice.
Nice work if you can get it.
My God, she's posh. It's news and previews time, some 3DO shit that is clearly just a proof of concept, and even the proof of concept looks shite. A reminder that in the 90s, everyone was obsessed with footage of a fake alien autopsy. And just to really elbow you in the 90s gland, the Waterworld game is coming out for the SNES and Mega Drive.
What do you think about?
Next up, it's Batman Forever on the SNES, which is a massive pile of shit.
This is another typical platform game released on the back of a blockbuster, but it could have been a lot better.
Gothlas knows what's what.
This is level 3 at the circus. Batman's got to find the bomb and defuse it, so he's racing against the clock. I found the graphics very monotonous and it's difficult to figure out where to go and there's no indication of what to do. Although, like most platform games these days, there's a lot of hidden levels. The major flaw in the game is that it stops every time you go to a new area. You'd expect that on a CD, but not on a cartridge.
That's a good point. Why the hell are the loading screens on a cartridge? Counterpoint, though, I don't think that this is the major flaw of the game. I think this is the only part that doesn't make you want to eat your own eyebrows.
It's a bit slow and a little dark.
Just like your mum.
It plays great.
Wrong.
And the scores for Batman Forever, not good, I'm afraid. The boys gave it 2 out of 5 and the girls 3 out of 5.
2 and 3. Almost as good as Panzer Dragoon on the Saturn. Why am I not in the least bit shocked? Next up, it's Primal Rage, which is shit, and it was always shit.
Primal Rage is yet another beat-em-up. but instead of the more usual human-like characters, you play with vicious prehistoric mutants.
They're called dinosaurs, Chris.
The animation is fluid, and a lot of work has clearly gone into the graphics. But the whole game is very dated, the characters are limited, and to be quite honest, we've seen a lot of games on the market that do this kind of thing better.
Okay, well, he's actually correct on this. We're balancing out, finally.
It's an outdated style of game. The graphics are tacky.
Tacky? Has everyone in Bad Influence become middle class all of a sudden?
It's slow and it doesn't compare to any of the recent fighting games.
Well, no. We can always count on the most working class kid in the world to put an end to any poshness. Voiced like a mouthful of special brew.
Scores then? Well, the boys gave it a sad 2 out of 5, and the girls an even lower 1 out of 5.
God damn it. Nearly got a 1-1 already. Oh well, next time. This week's competition prize is a Sega Saturn with that big pile of steaming crap Panzer Dragoon as the prize. Who'd want that, eh?
I think it's the best game out on the Saturn at the moment.
Both the girls and the boys gave it a 3 out of 5.
It's credits time now, and Andy joins Craig McLachlan to pretend to play music on stage, because why not? This is a game show after all. So, in summary then, Guitar Hero was also available in the 90s, but even the star power of Craig McLachlan couldn't sell it. Violet has finally escaped the tyrannical grasp of Andy Crane, but the cameraman has been downing LSD like it's milkshake. And the review scores on this show continue to be the least trustworthy thing ever aired on UK television. See you next time for another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence, the show that's been invaded by posh people and 3D graphics. This week we're taking a look at one of the Beavis and Butthead games, I forget which, and the review of the week is Comic Zone on the Mega Drive.
It's looking good, good, good. Now run the Violet, VT!
Yeah, Andy's just been Andy, and Violet will be venturing to America to check out cable television.
I'll be seeing you.
I simply cannot wait.
Cue Sonia!
Yep, Andy's definitely still being Andy.
Now, there isn't a Bad Influence video game yet.
Oh man, what would a Bad Influence game even be? Actually, presumably a shite platformer, they always are.
But lots of other TV shows have inspired games designers. One of my favourite shows is the cult cartoon series Beavis and Butthead.
That's a lie, Sonia. Your favourite show is Keeping Up Appearances because you think it's a documentary.
And that's just been released on the SNES and Mega Drive. This is the Mega Drive version. In the game, the decidedly non-dynamic duo have just gotta get to a heavy metal concert, and it's up to you to help them find the tickets, performing various gross and antisocial acts along the way. It's like, cool.
Stop!
Or it would be if it was as good as the series. And actually, it ain't happening, dude.
Double stop!
Cartoons are all very well, but sometimes one yearns for something a bit more realistic and meaningful, something that will entertain without losing its relevance to our everyday lives. Something like Thunder in Paradise, the action series starring wrestler Hulk Hogan that spawned a game on a CDI. Sadly, the promised interactivity turns out to be nothing more than a series of boring, monotonous shoot-'em-ups against flashy full-motion video backdrops. Perhaps it's faithful to the series after all, then.
Damn, take that, Hulk Hogan.
Cartoon and action programs are obvious choices to be made into games, but some brave coders have really pushed back the video game boundaries by attempting to convert ordinary programs like soaps, sitcoms and game shows.
The earliest one we've managed to find is Neighbours on the ZX Spectrum.
Well, clearly you didn't look hard enough. There are about 1,000 TV show games for the ZX Spectrum. Pretty much all of them are older than Neighbours.
There's also Allo Allo on the Amiga. Listen carefully, I shall say this only once. You have to guide Renee and Michelle on a quest for stolen art treasures.
What a surprise, an Amiga platformer.
OK, that's soaps and sitcoms. Representing game shows, there's Countdown on the PC, giving you the chance to fulfill your dream to be a contestant on the intellectual game show. all the elements of the show we know and love are there. You can have the countdown experience as much as you like in your own home. Excuse me, sir, would you like me to explain how the game works?
Well, if you can do it in 30 seconds, I'll be very glad.
Right, yes, well, you see, what you've got to do is make us...
Richard Whiteley in His House, but literally only for that cameo. He never turns up again.
Well, at least I know they sold one copy. Now, if you prefer music to TV, you need Virtual Violet's Guide to the Hottest Places on the Internet.
I'm going to take a guess here and assume their definition of hottest places on the internet are not the same as mine.
In cyberspace, every band can be found lurking somewhere, from Take That to Nirvana, and from Bjork to aging rockers like the Rolling Stones.
Aging rockers who refuse to die, may I add.
Which group has the best official site on the World Wide Web? Round one. The official Blur site is based on a notice board.
What is this pose supposed to signify?
Round 2. The Oasis web pages serve up info, lyrics and artwork, all in the band's own unique flavour. But the umbrella on the cocktail has got to be the complete rock and roll excess of sound and video. This isn't quite as exciting as the race to number 1, is it? Pitting their 90s flavoured websites against one another. Round 3. I've awarded Blur extra points for style. A quirky section shows you pages and pages of concert tickets stretching back over 4 years and photos taken by friends and family. Then there's the promise of any minute now updates on The Great Escape, their new album released this week. So, Blur win. But don't worry, Oasis can take it. They just roll with it.
Our main review this week is Comic Zone on the Mega Drive. It's a strategy beat-em-up.
It's just a beat-em-up, Sonia.
One night, one of the evil dudes you've created comes to life and thrusts you into the pages of your own comic strip. The aim of the game is to escape. Biff! Kapow! But wait! Comic strips are separated into frames, and Sketch has got to find a way out of each of them. Zooks!
Zooks! Zooks! I've had enough of this nonsense. Bring on Lakesh.
The comic book style is an original way to present a platform beat-em-up. But apart from a few new ideas, it's basically the same as 100 other games.
He's not wrong, and this is definitely at the arse end of the beat-em-up phase.
This game's very easy. Wrong! Here I've got 2 options of where to go. I'm going downwards because I think it'll probably be easier.
You've literally just said it was too easy anyway, Lakesh. Go the other way, you wimp.
Here I'm picking up my rat.
That's clearly a ferret. What is wrong with you today?
There are some novel ideas in there, but unfortunately, they haven't been made the most of.
This is great. It's a new way of looking at a strategy beat-em-up game.
Once again, it's just a beat-em-up. Calm your terminology.
And it looks great, but for me there's nothing special about the gameplay, and that's what counts.
Well, the beat-em-up joy train has well and truly left the station.
And the scores for Comic Zone. The boys gave it a beat-em-up, 3 out of 5, and the girls gave it a reserve my copy every week, 4 out of 5.
In America, they have what they call can-do people.
Sports guy orchestrated it.
And here in San Francisco, there are 2 can-do people who decided they want to make a television show.
For those who are confused by the idea of cable television, it's basically like having a channel on YouTube, but it's on TV, and barely anyone watches it because there are other bigger, better channels on TV. Oh, wait, no, it's exactly like YouTube, only it's on TV.
Community access means that anyone can have a go at making a programme. All you need are great ideas, and Video Game Slams is totally original.
Anyhow, that's all for now, Dr. Brandon Maxwell, and as always, I'll be seeing you.
And these are the 2 people behind Video Game Slams, director Michael Baldwin.
Ah, the lesser-known Baldwin brother.
This is our high-tech game area where we actually preview any of the games that we're going to use before the show, and then we use these different monitors and so forth to tape the clips that will roll in as we do it. Then the different systems that we would use would be the 32X unit, the Mega Drive, the Mega CD, we've got the SNES, the 3DO unit, the Atari Jaguar, and of course the newly released Sega Saturn.
Hey, sports guy here. Thank you.
Kimberly and Michael have asked me to be a guest presenter on the show. It's recorded on Sundays and takes about 3 hours of total mayhem. Right, I think I'd better wrap my game review now. Your eyes will be popping out on stalks. No.
Has cannabis been made legal in America at this point? No? I'm not sure what's going on with Violet then.
Anything can happen on the show, so it's a good idea not to get too close to the action.
We're going to go all the way over here to special guest star Matthew the cameraman.
Oh, yes.
Let's get him out here, see what he can do. Let's do on the game. Very good. Oh, very good.
Thank you, Matthew, the bad influence cameraman, for that informed games expert comment. Not. I've got to look my best because San Francisco is watching.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that.
We're on. Hey, and welcome back to our special UK edition.
I'm reviewing Bug for the Saturn with Video Game Slams star reviewer, the Professor.
So let's bring on my special guest all the way from our sister station across the continent. Yes, it's the lovely and talented Violet Berlin.
My big moment, starring on US TV.
And I even managed to include my games journalist's catchphrase.
It's Bug.
It's Bug, and your eyes will be popping out on stalks when you see this one.
Yep.
It is huge, you're going to get lost, and you're not going to find many spit wads around. So you're going to end up, and the spit wads are different colours. They let you spit at your enemies to get rid of them.
One of the things that I was going to say that I really like, the stuff that you use for your power-up is bug juice.
Bug juice! Bug juice! What do you mean bug juice?
I'm not sure reviews are really enhanced by shock jock sound effects, audience noises, and overbearing drum beats. Hold on, let's give it a try.
The comic book style is an original way to present a platform beat 'em up. But apart from a few new ideas, it's basically the same as 100 other games. This game's very easy in that you use the same button to kick, the same button to punch, and the same button to collect special moves as well. In that sense, it becomes pretty boring because, well, using...
No, that was shit.
And what can be nicer than settling down in front of my favourite TV programme, Video Game Slams, with my favourite producers and my favourite presenters.
I hope Andy's not watching this live diss.
And by a strange coincidence, our panel will be reviewing Bug later in the show.
Get off the furniture, Sonia.
Well then, everybody, just let the standby director take over for a moment. You'll have to kneel, I'm afraid, because I'm borrowing your chair.
Here he is, still being Andy. We're halfway through the episode before we even get any proper, juicy Andy content. I hope it's good.
We've just come up to the gallery because I want to show you this brilliant new software package called Nickelodeon Director's Lab, and it lets you fiddle around with videos and animations and loads and stuff. Anything from a toilet flushing.
Well, I'm bored.
If I click at the bottom of the screen here on loop, the video will just play round and round and round and round. So I can show you that you can speed it up like that, or you could slow it down by clicking here, or you can make it bounce around the screen. If I go out through this door into this kind of control or reception area, I can get some sound effects if I click in here. Listen to these chickens.
I miss the days when software tried to make itself look more exciting by setting itself up as a virtual space. I say I miss it. It was shit and I never want it back again, but still, I do miss it.
You get the general idea. But where's the best place to view your finished work when you've put it all together? Where else but the screening room? So, ladies and gentlemen, I give you my famous Bad Influence animation sequence.
Well, that was worth everyone's time.
There's been a very important computer game show going on in London this week. Naturally, the Bad Influence cameras were there, so... Standby studio and run VT.
It's big, bold and busting.
Just like your man.
TS95 was sold at Olympia this year, and there were more games to look at than perforations in a teabag.
That has got to be the strangest comparison I've ever heard on Bad Influence.
The complex 3D sprites are almost identical to the arcade machine's fighters. The disc features new moves for the original characters, a fistful of new faces to deal with, and lots more detailed graphics.
Also making its first appearance on Saturn was Virtua Cop.
Certainly some good games on the horizon, but there's always room for shite.
Feel like restaging some of the most famous boxing matches in history? Well, now you can with Foes of Ali.
That has got to be the worst animation I've ever seen in a game.
Alien Odyssey's graphics on the PC easily rival those of the Super Consoles. The game's primarily an adventure, but for real laughs, slip onto the seat of a high-speed jet bike and scorch through the pine forests. Spectacular animations kick in as the story unfolds, but it's the clever mixture of arcade and adventure game styles that will keep you coming back for more.
I've literally never heard of it before, so presumably it won't. More game reviews now.
This is a game to be enjoyed by everyone. It's easy to get into and it looks amazing.
Sassy Susan is back, sassier than ever.
You can kill enemies by either spitting at them or jumping on them and using the sting in your bum.
Bum. Oh, Sassy Susan.
Now I'm going to jump onto the waterfall and collect some blue crystals. Once I've got 100, I can go onto a bonus round at the end of the level. The waterfall's harder to walk on.
I see the reviews have taken a leap back to the Series 1 era of reviews, where instead of reviewing the game, the main reviewer just describes exactly what you're looking at on the screen.
This is the most playable game I've seen all year. Bug is bright and colourful, and the voice samples finish off a perfect game.
It's addictive, the 3D graphics are excellent, and the music's first class.
You just can't knock this game. Bug's got real personality. It makes a change from the ordinary run-of-the-mill 2D platformer. I love it.
Woo! Bug seems to have knocked it out of the park. Come on then. 5 out of 5 for this game that no one really has any fond feeling towards anymore. That would line up properly, wouldn't it?
And the scores for Bug, the boys gave it an excellent 4 out of 5, but the girls went all the way, a maximum 5 out of 5.
Close enough. It's Vampire's Kiss up next, the long-awaited sequel to Super Castlevania 4, a fantastic little game that I'm sure they're going to hate because everyone has moved on to 3D stuff now, and this is in 2D.
There's a lot of fuss made about the original Castlevania when it first came out 4 years ago, but unfortunately they don't seem to have improved it for this sequel. You just destroy everything that moves. It's all a bit monotonous. The gameplay is very basic, and the slow-moving character is really annoying. He just moves like a snail. This is actually the fastest that I can move throughout the whole game. If you're into old games with old ideas, then this is for you. But for me, this was more of a Vampire's Miss than a Vampire's Kiss.
Wow.
It's extremely slow. The only thing I looked forward to was jumping off the walls and dying.
Playing
Okay.
this game for 5 minutes is more than enough.
Jesus wept. They haven't done it, have they?
Scores then for Castlevania Vampire's Kiss? Oh, low, so low. Both the boys and the girls gave it a minimum of 1.
Just a reminder, guys.
So, the long-awaited rise of the robots gets a disappointing 2 out of 5 from both the boys and the girls.
Once again, I say, wow. This week's competition prize is a Mega Drive with Comic Zone, a strategy beat-em-up that no one really liked. Last week it was a Sega Saturn with Panzer Dragoon, a game that no one really liked. What a shower of shite today has been.
Man, come on, you haven't finished yet.
Don't forget our really exciting worldwide web page. The address is coming up in a moment. And also tune in next week because we'll be looking at link-up games, including the amazing Destruction Derby. Bye.
See you next week, bye-bye.
It's credits time now, so I guess we'll summarise. In the 90s, you can make an entire segment about 2 different websites and it'll be classed as entertainment. Sonia Soul uses the word Zooks, and I still don't know what it means.
Zooks!
And Castlevania Vampire's Kiss is worse than Rise of the Robots. See you next time for another episode of whatever the hell this is.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence, the show that keeps switching hosts.
Hey,
and,
what do you think you're doing?
Well, I thought it'd be a good metaphor if I did the intro for this one because, you know, they've changed the hosts and stuff, so with me doing this bit at the start...
Please leave.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry if I...
And do it quietly.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence, the show that
Listen
keeps
to
switching
10-hour
hosts.
timestamp.
Hello and welcome to another whatever. Let's just get on with it.
Welcome to Bad Influence. In today's show, how to connect to live spy cameras all around the world and eavesdrop on secret things.
Okay, the NSA. Maybe let's not do that, eh? Anyway, Andy's banging on about LAN gaming again, but this time with consoles instead of PCs. And the main review is Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy, because this is the era where Game Boy games just hated your eyesight. Oh, and Violet is fucking about with a computer fish while dressed as a clown.
A new feature on the Jaguar is about to make playing Doom even better, if that's possible. It's called Serial Play, and with a cable like this, Wayne over here, and Zoe over here can play an independent head-to-head game in the same environment.
It's lucky Andy's dressed up like John Wayne to explain this segment. It really drives home that pistols at dawn scenario the kids are about to be put through.
There, for example, is Wayne in Zoe's monitor.
And right there is Zoe in Wayne's monitor.
All right, guys, go for it! Each player gets dropped in a different location and they have to stalk each other through the game. You can actually creep up behind one another and blast each other to bits.
Did that kid even land a single shot?
Serial Play isn't just a feature of Super consoles. The Mega Drive has a link-up game called Zero Tolerance. The cable plugs into the second joypad port, and again, you can see each other's character in the screens.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. It's the year 2022, and this is the first time I'm even hearing that you could do this on systems like the Mega Drive. I mean, it wouldn't really have mattered. I didn't have one Mega Drive, let alone 2, but still, cool.
And the same principle applies to the PlayStation. This is the lead in question, and with it, you can give your mates a real good bashing. I suppose, Noah, you'd be kind of familiar with this sort of wrecking cars scene.
What do you mean?
Well, if you didn't see it, here's how Noah's character met his sad end in a recent episode of Emmerdale.
Hooray, a new guest star. This time it's someone from Emmerdale. Really scraping the bottom of the barrel here, and we're only 3 episodes in.
In Destruction Derby, both players are lined up in a circle with 20 other cars, all trying to smash each other to bits until only one car is remaining. Each competitor is marked by an arrow, and you can take on the other computer droids.
Computer droids?
You have failed me for the last time.
This is my special star challenger, Leon, and he's here to test the weirdest link-up challenge yet, Heretic on the PC. In Heretic, players are thrown into a wacky world of demons and monsters.
I have never once heard Heretic described as a
wacky world of demons and monsters.
I feel like Sonia's just seen a screenshot of the game and based her opinions on that.
Blasting each other with spells or even turning one another into chickens for fun with lightning blasts.
Good sound design there. Just have people talking at the same volume as Sonia while she tries to explain what she thinks Heretic probably is.
So Leon, how's it going?
It's going good. I've just turned someone into a chicken. I don't know who.
Yeah, what are you doing? But you've got the egg.
Oh yeah, I've got. Here's the egg. Here it is. Here.
He's got the egg. So you're in the lead, basically.
Yeah, I'm in the lead.
What about you, Andy? How are you going?
I've been turned into a chicken, and if no one else stands still, I'm going to peck him to death. Come here.
Ah, sore loser. And now how's it going for you?
Oh, I'm winning.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm winning. He's not.
Oh, Challenge Boy isn't having any of that bullshit. Know your place, Emmerdale man.
The guys are basically getting toasted by Leon, but there is a special reason for that. He is the newly crowned winner of the Blockbuster Video World Games Championship.
I wonder if that's still going.
Well done. How did you do it, though?
Well, it all started off I heard about the competition, and then I got into the regional finals, and I won that, which is enough for me already. And I got a trip to San Francisco.
Brilliant.
I got entered in the world finals, and in the world finals I won that as well, and I got $5,000 plus loads of other stuff.
Stop showing off, Challenge Boy.
You must be practicing all the time.
No, I only play like an hour max a day, because I've got a life. I do other things,
Bollocks, do ya?
Oh, I guess I'll have to get used to life as a chicken. Enough of super consoles. There's life in the old systems yet. Our main review this week is Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy.
Andy wins the award for Ugliest Game Boy of the Year, but here we go. It's Donkey Kong Land on the Game Boy. It's fine. It's basically just Donkey Kong Country, and the developers have scaled it down to the Game Boy with fairly decent success.
In this new Kong adventure, the developers have clearly tried to emulate the playability of the SNES classic Donkey Kong Country, and surprisingly, they've succeeded.
I've literally just said that.
The game is more difficult than the SNES classic, but partly because of the restrictions of the Game Boy, it's quite difficult to see what's going on at times.
Ah, who needs to see what's going on? It's fine. 5 out of 5.
If you have a Game Boy, you can't really afford to miss it.
Although it is slower than the SNES version, I think this game's excellent.
It plays every bit as well as the SNES version, but at times the screen's just far too cluttered.
So it doesn't play equally as well as the SNES version then. Get your life in order.
And the scores for Donkey Kong Land, both the girls and boys gave it a growling 4 out of 5.
Yeah, no surprise on the scores there. A decidedly above average score for a decidedly above average game, reviewed by some decidedly below average children.
Now, Noah said earlier he was doing really well on Donkey Kong Land, but I don't believe him. You're not, are you?
No, well, I was lying before, but I'm doing all right now.
Why are you even here?
Yeah? Do you like the game, then?
It's excellent, yeah.
So well recommended?
Definitely.
Wow, thanks, Emmerdale actor. I'll definitely have to get it now.
Well recommended.
Jolly good. But just a quick reminder of how our scoring system works.
Oh no. Oh good God. They're explaining the review system again.
The mark awarded by the panel reflects one quality only, and that's playability.
So, a game like Tetris on the Game Boy scores a must-have 5, because although the graphics and sound aren't that great, the game is going to be something really special like Super Mario Kart.
On the other hand, a brand new game like Panzer Dragoon on the Saturn only scored a very average 3 when we reviewed it. The graphics and the sound are brilliant, but who cares when it ain't fun to play?
But surely if it's not fun to play, it would just get a 1? You're already contradicting your mad selves.
The new consoles are so powerful that it's virtually impossible to produce a bad-looking game.
Hello from Hollywood, the centre of America's film and entertainment industry. But we're not here to spot big-name movie stars, we're here to see a show.
SIGGRAPH 95. Los Angeles is home of the Oscars, so we thought it might be appropriate to hand out our own awards.
And here it is, our answer to the Oscar, the highest honour we can bestow, the Andy.
Please, someone somewhere. Send me this thing.
Meet the improv actors.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
Oi, Sam! Sam is another virtual actor, and he's got some sophisticated voice recognition software. For SIGGRAPH, they've taught him to play Simon Says. Watch this. Simon Says, walk down stage. Sit down. You win, Sam.
Well, that certainly was something.
Lovey, I tell you, the makeup people on this shoot are awful. Actually, I've got all this stuff on my face because I'm operating a new animation system called Imperactor. All you need is a video camera, a PC, and hidden away around the corner there, £30,000 worth of Silicon Graphics workstation.
It's different from other systems because it doesn't use any wires. You control the fish's movements just by moving your face.
This means that when I raise an eyebrow...
Such smooth animation. It really makes you feel like a fish.
Of course, we should really be giving our virtual actors a virtual award.
Microscribe 3D allows you to scan objects into your computer by hand. You just run the pen along the object and the computer works out what its shape is.
The computer creates a 3D wire mesh frame which follows the contours of the object. To finish it off, all you need to do is render the frame with a smooth texture.
And the Andy for the most number of model planes on their stand goes to Microscribe 3D. But you've already got one on your computer, so I think I'll have that.
Well, he was a talkative chap, wasn't he? Do you reckon Violet just turned up at his desk unannounced and he was really pissed off that he had to fanny about with a small statue of Andy Crane? I know I would be.
Anyone for table tennis?
Oh look, it's the PlayStation iToy.
That's it for SIGGRAPH 95. And all that remains for me is say thank you to everyone who's made this evening possible, especially Ricky, Dickie, Kenny, Emmy and Stevie Spielbergy. It's so wonderful that we've all come together.
Violet, Berlin and Los Angeles. I think there's quite a likeness in this, Andy, don't you?
I don't know, I haven't seen Andy with no clothes on.
Neither have I.
Lies. It's news and previews time now. Heart of Darkness is coming out soon, which I've never played, but it's probably alright. The Internet on a Disc is coming out. The Encyclopedia Britannica could be yours for just £755. Doom on the SNES, which is where I first played it, and I swore it ran faster than 5 frames per second, but apparently not. Heads up! Demolition Man reviews next.
Shoot 'em Up's Go is not bad.
Pleasantly surprised.
The game is a little dated.
This review is literally just 1 minute of people saying, it's okay. I give you the supercut. What score do you reckon it's going to get?
And the scores for Demolition Man. The boys liked it, they gave it a 4. The girls, not so good, a 3.
Well, the girls are on point, but the boys have just decided to give this not bad game a 4. For some reason. Who cares anymore? Bad influence, apparently, because even though they explain the score system every other week, they still don't do it right.
The PlayStation and Saturn versions of Street Fighter the movie have just been released.
Oh god, Street Fighter the movie, the game, is up next. Now, Street Fighter the movie is the second best video game film of all time, only just beaten to the winner's podium by the classic Double Dragon movie. But the game, oh god, the game.
It still has the appeal of the original Street Fighter. I'm gonna do a special move right now. It's called a jackknife. Yeah. There he goes. There he goes.
It may have a flashy new look, but it's just the same old, tired formula.
But the problem is that it deviates from the formula so much. How are they coming to the conclusion that the game is shit, but getting there by going down completely the wrong route?
Scores then for Street Fighter the movie. Both the boys and the girls gave it a rather two-dimensional 2 out of 5.
I want to say I agree with them. Their scores are correct, but nothing they said was correct. What a weird conundrum.
If you've been checking out our exciting worldwide website,
the internet is boring.
Then I'm sure you were thrilled to discover our office camera page, bringing you live pictures of our production team in action. Well, this is the actual camera we use, and it's connected to a computer down there.
Why did Andy find the concept of a video camera so amusing? What's he not telling us?
There are loads of live cameras out there if you've got internet access, and here's Virtual Violet with her opinion of just a few of them.
The hundreds of live cameras on the net mean that you can spy on exciting things all over the world.
Violet the pervert, who'd have thought it?
Such as what's happening right now on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Absolute filth.
There's even a guy who walks around with a camera mounted on his head so you can see his point of view at any moment in time. Right now, he seems to be lying on his side. Maybe it's the weight of the camera.
But if he's lying on his side, why is the woman's top half in frame? Is he on the top bunk of a bunk bed? I need answers to this ancient mystery.
Yep, it may all sound exciting, but it's actually incredibly dull.
Well, that rounds off that section quite nicely. Thanks, Violet. Moving on. Last week's prize was a Mega Drive with Comic Zone. This week is Donkey Kong Land and a Game Boy. I feel like giving away a Game Boy at this point doesn't really stand up to the Sega Saturn they gave away in the first episode, but hey ho.
So dreamy.
So in summary then, this kid reckons he only plays video games for 1 hour a day, but then still wins a load of video game competitions, which is blatantly a lie. Somewhere in the world there's a possibility that a golden Andy Crane statue exists, and I want it more than I've wanted anything else in my life. And bringing on celebrities is surely Bad Influence's last clutch at the straw for the final series, considering they literally do nothing for the entire episode. See you next time for another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. This week, Andy's going to do a sick ollie.
Hello from Bad Influence.
Or he's just going to take out Sonia's ankles, one of the two. All this skateboard nonsense is to advertise a skateboard game for the PS1 that never came out, so that's fun. We've also got a review of Wipeout, and Sonia shows us how we can shoot Andy Crane in the face by using Doom. It's like they can read our minds.
But first, on Friday, you'll finally be able to get your hands on the PlayStation.
It's finally here. I feel like they've been talking about the PS1 for 3 entire series now.
But what do you actually get for your £300? Well, the good news is that you'll get one of the most compact consoles around. It's about half the size of the bulky Saturn, and it's £100 cheaper. You will get one of these stylish controllers. In fact, the UK joypads are going to be 18% bigger than their Japanese equivalents. Perhaps we have larger hands over here.
Racist.
But, you won't actually get any games. The PlayStation does come with a demo disc, which contains one playable level of our main review this week, Wipeout, and a couple of other demos, but nothing else.
Well, that is pretty shit, let's be honest.
So to whet your appetite, we've rounded up 3 of the funkiest games you've never seen.
Funky games? Funky? Who is writing Sonia's scripts?
That'll be out later this year. This one's called Warhawk. It's a flight sim where you enter into ferocious air-to-air and air-to-ground skirmishes with all the latest high-tech weaponry.
Now, one thing I will say, the artifacting on this old video footage held up okay when we were showing 2D games, but these murky-coloured early 3D games basically look like a smudge.
Hack your way through one of the most detailed worlds ever created by a computer in Loaded. When it's finished, this game's gore rating may only be surpassed by the body count.
Again, it's a kid's show, Andy. Stop talking about gore.
But the best thing about the PlayStation will be all the funky peripherals.
Stop saying peripherals. I mean, funky. Stop saying funky.
Things like this giant skateboard, which works with a disc called Extreme Games. In it, players can roller skate, roller blade, roller anything really, in a frantic dash to the finish. This is Andrea, who's going to demonstrate it for us. To make her character go forward, she stands right on the front of the board. And to make a character jump up or do tricks, you can kick the fishtail at the back.
So this is basically a better version of that Tony Hawk skateboard game that flopped massively, developed over a decade prior. Bloody hell.
Whoa! Born to skate. The gnarly Andy Crane there. This week's main review is one of the first games available for the PlayStation, Wipeout.
Okay, here we go. Wipeout, an absolute 5 out of 5 classic. Nothing will stop this from smashing the scores.
Here's Adam.
Oh shit, he's back.
This game is very fast and has incredible graphics, but when you first start, you'll probably spend too much time crashing to notice. The game has a choice of 6 tracks in 6 countries, and you can also choose from 4 vehicles and 8 drivers. An important part of the game is to pick up power-up icons, such as missiles, which will slow down enemies which would run, mines to slow down enemies from behind, speed-ups to allow you to turbo boost along the track, and shields like the vehicle in front just used to protect yourself from attack.
Okay, well, Adam's back on the lithium, but at least he didn't absolutely slander the game.
The graphics were amazing, and the speed of the game made it really exciting, although I did find it quite difficult to control at first.
The graphics are amazing, but I'd expect that from a Super Console, but the gameplay isn't that incredible.
I am literally shaking with rage, metaphorically speaking. This is going to get tanked, isn't it?
And the scores then, not a complete wipeout, an average 3 from the boys and 4 from the girls.
Look, I don't mean to swear, but good gosh, what a bunch of silly sausages. I mean, absolutely useless dickhead, fucking joypad twat.
So the boys give Wipeout an average 3, which goes to prove what we always say. It's the gameplay that counts, not shiny graphics.
You've proved nothing!
When the hardware wasn't capable of producing anything more than basic blobs on a screen. Here's Violet in a pilgrimage to the birthplace of video games, Silicon Valley in California.
Okay, let's pause here. We're not going to watch Violet talk about that. Do you know why? Because it's fine. There's absolutely nothing to laugh at. She gets a few things wrong, but mostly it's just the interesting tale of how video games began. The same one that we've all heard a million times now. So while trying to think of something to fill this slot, I instead went on my own journey, following Violet's footsteps from a previous episode. I decided to check out the wonderful world of public access television in America, thanks to the wonders of the Internet Archive. And I have watched hours of this stuff. Let me tell you this. I went into this expecting to be bored out of my mind, but I spent the entire morning going through an absolute range of emotions watching this, from cringing to genuinely laughing to moments of complete and utter sadness. Public access television is like looking into the void of television from another universe, and I have fallen in love with it. From amateur productions to hilarious editing mistakes to families putting together their own TV program to the differently abled having a chance to get their voices in the same space as everyone else, I have fallen in love. If the entirety of YouTube was this funny, both accidentally and intentionally, I don't think I would ever do anything else in my life. So enough waffle. Without further ado, I present to you the best of what I've found from public access television.
Are your kids or teens, or you, looking for some healthy, safe, and engaging activities for the summer months? Look no further than your public library.
I think that countries that don't have access to high technology will be influenced by video games.
Hello, my name is Sean. Welcome to Console Revolution. Today we're counting down my top 10 favorite video game systems of all times. If you have a problem with my list, go straight to the complaint compartment.
This is Lord Vader. I'm not reading, and you shouldn't either. We have Hannah here today, and I will use the Force to convince her to stop reading.
Well, I, for one, am not really excited.
Lots of young adults actually play gaming, not surprisingly, and even younger than...
Free first-person shooter on the PlayStation system. It's a PlayStation 3 exclusive. Who knows whether it'll be on the air conditioning kicking on. That's good. We forgot about that.
It's sad, but also filled with hope.
No, not a new hope. I confiscate that book in the name of the Emperor.
Okay. Alright, hi, I'm Josh.
And I am Frank Lopez.
And we're here to talk about games that are coming out.
I'm a gamer. I don't got a beard yet. Oh, I guess I am 16. But what I'm saying is that there's a lot more people in that gaming community that don't fit that stereotype.
It won't take them long to figure you out, and it's just getting started. Getting in the groove, slaughtering your moves, and it's just getting started.
So, how did you all get into gaming?
Well, do you want me to start? I mean, you're the
Go
one wearing
first.
the Ash Pokemon, the Ash Pokemon.
In the glasses? Yeah.
Glasses.
No, I don't really game that much, but I mean, used to. I used to play the Pokemon games, and then I would go to the, not Blockbuster, but there was GameStop. I used to go to GameStop a lot and like check out all the different games. I never really bought any of the Xbox stuff, but just, I don't know why I'm sitting here, but that's okay. I'm just gonna.
It's because we like having you around.
Thanks.
Okay, and also there's a game called Quantum Break that's coming out, and it's a third-person shooter with this guy that's able to stop time. I don't know much about it, but some people say it's going to be a good game, but others say it's not. But we have some gameplay for you guys, so yeah.
Middle-aged men with beards.
And they're like, bro, we got Super Nintendo. I was like, well, I got my Jurassic Park toys, so I don't even care. But I remember as time went on, that's all that they did when they hung out in the basement.
What?
Well, you have to read Echo to see what I mean.
So the Xbox One.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's go put up cheese. Who was in control?
Because it's new and it might be hard and I might lose and then I might cry and things like that. I mean...
This is it. This is it. That is it. That is it. I know it through my controller, but that is it. Last life. Last freaking life, and we did it.
I like gaming because I'm subscribed to most of the gamers on YouTube.
My top 10 favorite game consoles of all time. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Thank you.
Nice.
What's that thing?
What is that?
That is one of those unwilling. That's what they're called. And these are like
willing
they're
to
bodyguards.
bite your face off is what he's willing.
Oh my God, I am shaking. I'm shaking of excitement. This is very exciting for me.
From a guy that's been playing for a bit, I have not played this at all. So this is very...
It's not like Halo, so it should be fun.
No.
I'd like to thank everybody on Bethel Park Gaming's Facebook page with a new high of friends, 686, and also for Bethel Park Gaming's actual YouTube page with only 14 subscribers.
I have since watched 3 episodes of Bethel Park Gaming. The channel is a year old now and they're still sat at 35 subscribers, which includes me. This might seem like a strange place to advertise another channel, but I absolutely love these boys. They are having the time of their lives playing these games, so if we can try and push them to 100 subscribers so they can at least get their custom URL, I would be eternally grateful to anyone watching this. They more than deserve it. Oh god. I'm welling up. My heart is filled with love right now. We better sort that out by going back to Bad Influence. News and previews time. Magic Carpet 2 is coming out soon. It's basically Magic Carpet, but better. It's the most sequel to ever exist. Vector Man is coming to the Mega Drive, and no one cares because it's average at best. And finally, Blade Force on 3DO looks incredibly shit, but it also looks like the kind of shit that might accidentally loop back around to being good. I don't know.
And now, here's Virtual Violet, still in historical mode, with a rundown on the development of the Joypad.
It's got original games. It's got arcade conversions. It's even got that funny platformer where you get to be a robotic rabbit. But one of the best things about the PlayStation has still got to be its Joypad.
Wait, Violet, wait. This did not come out on the PlayStation. You've gone mad, woman.
Okay, so it may not seem that significant, but history has shown that game controllers are more important than you might think.
I don't think anyone who plays games has ever thought that controllers are unimportant. They're literally the thing you use to play. Violet's drunk. Let's move on.
If you're a sad and lonely insomniac and you spend all your time playing Doom and you can finish all the levels blindfolded with one hand tied behind your back...
Don't give me ideas, Sonia.
Based on the Bad Influence set. And it's filled with digitised monsters of myself and Andy. And at the moment they are crowding out the galley, so we're going to have to blast our way out of here just to get down to the studio. But yes, we've made it to the door.
Drunkenly, it seems. I'm not sure Sonia knows how to turn round properly.
If you look in front, you can just see the video all there. You can see the pods, To the left, there's the gantry. If we go round the gantry, I would be just about there on the platform. You can see the stairs behind me.
Wow, it looks exactly like the Bad Influence studio.
Now, a level like that needs to have a plan, and this is the Bad Influence set map. Now, obviously, a complex map like this will take 7 techies trained to empty pizza boxes several weeks to complete.
Several weeks?
Now, what I've got here are basically 3 rooms which I can make into any size or shape that I wish. So if I just tap a corner here, I can pull this one out to create any different shape I want. Now, you want to see how that looks in the actual Doom set. This is what we end up with, our very basic couple of rooms. There's our rectangle there. We've got our little passageway, and then this is my triangular room at the bottom here. So how about I create a door?
I'm not sure why this moment isn't spoken of more in video gaming history. That time Sonia Saul added a door to her Doom map on Bad Influence. It's absolutely riveting.
Let's see what it looks like now, actually on the Doom levels. Right, so let me go and first of all get my gun. That, now I need my ammunition, and I'm ready to go. So, here goes nothing.
Well, that was excellent, but they didn't actually show us how to make a level where we can shoot giant Andy Crane heads, so what was the point? Anyway, review time. It's NHL again, 96, I think. Who cares?
It's just another in the NHL series of ice hockey games. It's a playable sports sim, but nothing special.
Look, when even Smiley Lass isn't smiling, you know the sequel fatigue has kicked in.
Hockey League 96 has got a few new features, but the gameplay is not sufficiently different to NHL 95.
I thought it was difficult to tackle your opponents and manoeuvre. Overall, it wasn't the best sports sim I've ever played.
There's nothing eye-catching about the game. It's really average.
And the scores for National Hockey League 96. Both the boys and the girls thought it was skating on thin ice and gave it an average 3.
Yep, fair. I'll give them that. Next up is Space Hulk on the 3DO. It doesn't look good, I'll put it that way.
The graphics are spot on, and the incredible atmosphere really keeps you in suspense, but the gameplay is too difficult. I have a squad of 10 men, all wearing orange protective suits. I have to take control of them and position them on the map. Here are some of the aliens which have to be killed to complete the mission. It's a very moody game and requires a lot of concentration to play, and it can be quite scary playing it alone in the house at night. Technically it's a great game, but I found there wasn't enough time to position my men before the aliens got me.
So, let me get this straight. It's a strategic game, and not once has he said strategy, even though they use the word strategy to describe literally every other game in existence.
Doesn't play that well.
The scores then for Space Hulk. The boys gave it an average 3, the girls liked it a bit more, a 4.
Just as good as Wipeout.
This week's competition prize is 2 PlayStations, each with a copy of Wipeout and a connecting lead.
Wow, fair play. 2 PlayStations with 2 copies of Wipeout. They might have slagged it off, but that is a banging prize. Last week it was a Game Boy. I feel sorry for the poor sod that won that one. Anyway, they're all shooting each other now, so let's summarise.
Funky funkiest, funky funkiest, funky funkiest, funky.
The word funky may be this season's version of Jurassic, but I am refusing to accept that. Wipeout is bare average at best, and you might as well play Space Hulk on the 3DO instead. And public access television is 200% more fun to watch than Violet Berlin telling us the story of Pong we've all heard 1,000 billion times. Sorry, Violet. See you next time for another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Andy Crane's Fever Dream, a magical world of video games and, weird pool tables.
There's a deathly hush in the studio as Sonia Saul prepares to take the most important shot of the game.
Okay, I'm calling a fluke on that. What sort of random angle did that ball fly at? How many takes do you reckon it took to get this one in the bag?
Hello and welcome to Bad Influence. On today's show, a load of balls.
Again, I feel like I have to say this at least once a month, but it's a kid's show.
We'll be looking at attempts to make virtual reality versions of pool and snooker.
And it took the crew 4 hours to set up those balls in exactly the right position.
Stop saying balls. This week we've got a special guest. Again, of course. This time it's an actress from new ITV pilot drama. Yes, that's a sentence. Strike Force. Anyone remember Strike Force?
Kestrel 1, this is Henry Control. Taxi to runway 34 and hold.
Fox 2, this is Headingley Tower.
Bloody hell, exciting stuff. Edge of my seat watching that. Moving on.
That's another 20 pence you owe me, Andy.
Yeah, not quite, Sonia. There's a reason the camera didn't pan to the other pocket that you clearly missed. Can't fool me that easily.
And I'll be on the planet Solaris 7.
Violet's got into the mushrooms again.
Solaris 7.
This is the newest type of pool table. The L shape in the extra pocket changes the way you play the game, but the rules are the same as normal pool. Oh, shame. Pool started to become really popular in the 70s, mainly because it's easier to fit one of these tables into a bar or club.
Right. Just wait a second. Am I the only one that's seeing a really shit homemade version of Ridley Scott's Alien here? Just me?
But if pool tables are still too big for your game stream, there's always computerised pool. This is one of the first games ever for the Sinclair ZX Spectrum. It's called Pool. It was released in 1982 and used a top view of the table because it made it easier to calculate the position of the balls, but it wasn't very realistic and it just didn't catch on.
It just didn't catch on. A strange phrase to use in this particular instance because that very month there were literally 3 games released for the ZX Spectrum, all of them called Pool. If that's not catching on, I don't know what is.
Faster computers like the Atari ST here led to better pool games. This is 3D Pool, the first attempt at a pool game with a real player's view. The ball motion still wasn't very realistic. Not too surprising because the balls are a bit jagged.
Wait, does Sonia think that the reason old pool games don't feel realistic is because the balls aren't perfectly round?
Also, calculating how each ball moves takes loads of computer power, which meant the balls jerk around.
Nobody likes it when the balls jerk around.
The first game that got it right was Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker for the Atari ST and Amiga. It was the first real snooker simulator. Crafty programming tricks gave it all the elements of real play.
Well, that's not fair. The balls were rounder. Of course it played better.
Speaking of cues, cue Sonia.
Thanks, Andy. This is the state-of-the-art computer pool simulator. Virtual pool on the PC CD-ROM. The game allows you to look at the table from anywhere in the virtual pool room. The motion of the balls was modelled by NASA scientists and is very realistic. And the game comes with an animated history of pool, playing tips and a truckload of trick shots. You use the mouse in the same way that you'd use a cue. Just pull it back and push it forward to hit the shot.
Which isn't quite like playing actual pool, but it does explain this whiff.
Dean Reynolds scores 2!
Yeah, you've been playing on this for a while. What do you think of it?
I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's a great game. The best thing about it is that you can do these trick shots.
Right.
See, watch this.
Oh, very impressive. So I suppose you do prefer this to the real game?
Most definitely, I think, yes.
Yeah, but it takes a lot to beat the clicking of the balls, the feeling of the bays underneath your fingers.
Right. Someone, please, stop them from talking about how good balls feel. This has gone too far. Let's fast forward. Command and Conquer is here at last.
Could Command and Conquer at last be a war game that isn't boring?
Yeah, screw you, every other war game that came out before this. Cannon fodder, boring. Took itself far too seriously, that game. Bring on Command and Conquer. Okay, here he is, Sohail. This is your last chance. If Command & Conquer doesn't get 5 out of 5, no amount of 70s disco colours are going to save you.
This is not your typical war game. It's not just mindless shooting. You need to use a lot of strategy to play it properly.
Strategy? It's the first I ever heard of any strategy.
I'm in the middle of a game here, and the tanks I've just selected, I've decided to send south to collect that bonus crate. Up in the north here, the guys in red, who are the opposition, are invading my Tiberium field, so I have to destroy those.
I think you're probably going to have to explain what a Tiberium field is, Sohail. Otherwise it just looks like you're having a tank fight over a field of rocks.
I don't completely understand how the Tiberium ties in with the aliens, but there's aliens. And I know that there's aliens, and they're involved with the Tiberium. And we need to destroy the aliens before the Tiberium hurts us.
Here I'm going to build a barracks, but I'm not sure where I should place it at the moment. I think I'll put it next to that construction site.
I love this stream of consciousness we're getting here. These guys were well ahead of today's streamers.
At first the action may seem a little slow and the terrain a little daunting, but it's definitely one worth sticking with. Once you're into the gameplay, you just won't want to put it down.
Okay, well, Sohail is, as ever, impossible to read, but that definitely had the stench of a 4 about it. I mean it, Sohail. Don't you do this to me.
I could sit and play this for hours. It just feels like you're conquering the world. It was so engrossing. It's a really good game.
Bye from the girls.
The graphics and soundtrack are excellent. The gameplay is really challenging, and overall, it's an excellent war game.
Come on, let's go.
And the scores for Command and Conquer, a conquering 5 from both the boys and the girls.
So 5s all round for Command and Conquer, which is the first time it's happened this series at least. What was your favourite bit?
I think the fact that you can actually, as well as move like the whole army or the whole fleet, you can move each little man on his own and send him on his own little mission. I quite like that.
I'm really glad they've started to ask random actors and minor celebrities what they think about the games that they clearly haven't played. It really ties everything up with a smelly bow.
It's good, isn't it? Hours spent hunched over a computer screen playing strategy games can be a bit sad and lonely.
What is it with them attacking their own audience today?
But it doesn't have to be that way, as Violet now reports from Los Angeles.
Oh good, it's time for a Zed Berlin section. What's happening today?
Right, let me see now. Energy chocolate bar, crisps, I think that's enough. Drink in case I get thirsty, plasters.
Violet currently looks like every single dad in the UK having a midlife crisis between the age of 25 and 39 at the exact point Eminem's Stan entered the charts. I mean, seriously, it was an epidemic. It's good to see that she was leading the way long before then.
The game I'm about to take part in is a little unusual. For one thing, my team won't even get to meet the opposition. This is Virtual World, and we're here to play Battletech, a strategy shoot-'em-up.
Mother, what do you know about strategy?
Which has teams of mech warriors from all over the universe.
Hold on, Zed's already done this. Are they just recycling old Zed bits but with Violet now? Come on, lads.
This Virtual World Centre is in Pasadena, which is just outside Los Angeles, and the team we're up against are in Walnut Creek, which is about 400 miles that away. Now, you might think that if we want to play them, we've got to fly there first. But no, because from right here in Pasadena, we can play against any other team at any other virtual world site in the US. And it's all done on the internet.
Right, okay. Well, at least they've moved away from calling it the Information Superhighway. No, let's not do that.
The key to the whole system is this box in here. It's just a modem that links the computer in Pasadena up with the computer that runs the games in all the other sites. Now, the only difference between this modem and the ones that you and I can buy is that this one can send information about 10 times more quickly.
So it's still slow as shit then. Okay, no, these guys are just ramming buttons. This is the video gaming equivalent of Sonya performing a trick shot.
Teams are ejected into the drop zone, and then it's kill or be killed. Of course, the idea is not to die. When you get another battle mech in your sights, the name of the pilot comes up on screen, so you can identify your own team from your enemies. That's Gypsy on the Walnut Creek team. Time to blast.
You're just mad because I'll be able to do something with my fucking guitar in hands that you'll never be able to achieve in your entire life, kid. So yeah, you're gay.
Sounds like Violet's really having a lot of fun here, but it's also at this point you begin to realise she has literally no idea what's going on.
Rick, where are you? I'm on one leg. How's the team doing, Rick? Who won?
Now that's the question of a confident gamer.
And this is the last bit of technical wizardry, a video phone, so you can see and talk to the team you're up against face to face. Actually, on the line now I've got Gypsy, who I reckon I hit quite a lot. Hey Gypsy, are you there?
You look like a boxer.
Yeah, I think so. You heard it from him. This is Violet Berlin and Gypsy reporting in Pasadena and Walnut Creek for Bad Influence at Virtual World.
By the way, girls, please don't think that these virtual world centres are just for spotty, geeky guys.
Stop insulting everyone. What is going on?
And you can now try the virtual world experience here in the UK. They've just set up a site at the Trocadero Centre in London. They haven't got an internet link yet, but they're hoping to have that up and running next year. So look out for a UK challenge to the Pasadena champions.
And they're about to launch a completely revamped game. We sneaked these shots out of a computer graphics show in America. It's called System 4, and the pod will have new sound units with more subwoofers and tweeters than you'd find in a box full of dogs and a crate of canaries. And there's been a very stylish overhaul on screen as well, with the blocky old-style graphics replaced with a crisp new 3D look.
What, really? This looks exactly the bloody same. Anyway, review time. Next up it's...
Rayman.
Rayman?
Rayman.
Rayman?
Rayman.
Rayman? That's not how you pronounce it, Andy. Thank God he wasn't called Seaman.
The first two levels are a walkover, far too easy, but as you progress, the game becomes much harder. He's a cute, lovable little character, and the aim of the game is to guide him through each level, finding the Electoons and setting them free. It's a very big game, there's over 60 levels in it. This is a difficult bit.
There really is no way to make Rayman sound exciting, is there?
I just couldn't put this game down. There's so much going on. It's a real challenge and fun with it.
Even though the graphics are the best I've seen on any platformer, there are no features which make it stand out.
The Sohail redemption arc is in full swing.
But for me, the gameplay's a bit slow and it becomes boring after a while.
Just like your No, that one's too easy. I'm better than that.
And the scores for Rayman. The boys only an average 3, but the girls liked it a bit better and gave it 4.
Probably as close as we were ever going to get. Average Rayman is average. Moving on.
A racing game with miniature cars isn't very original, but the ability to beef them up with extras is a nice feature.
But again, it's not original.
This is the 2-player mode. It's very hard to see where you're going because of the split screen.
Jesus wept, you're not kidding.
It's very hard to control. One of the useful tactics is to knock off your opponent, especially if you're behind.
Well, you're not going to do it while you're in front, are you?
If you want a good overhead racing game for the Amiga, I suggest Super Skid Marks or Micro Machines, not this.
100% correct.
The gameplay's okay, but the controls are a bit too sensitive, and the sound is boring.
The awkward controls make it difficult to handle the vehicles. This game could have been so much better.
Get your bets in, boys and girls. This could be another absolute wanner to go with the trophy set.
And the scores for Wheelspin, not a runaway success. Both the boys and the girls gave it a 2.
Well, there's always time for disappointment when it comes to bad influence. Never mind. At least they didn't make me lose my rag today. It's nice to keep my blood pressure down for once.
If you've ever wanted to be like Tom Cruise in Top Gun but couldn't quite afford the plane, then this game is probably the nearest to it you're going to get.
And if you're a CITV show that can't afford to bring in Tom Cruise as a guest, I'm sure you'll be happy to make do with this woman. I've already forgotten her name. She's probably been in Emmerdale in the bill, though. They all have.
The software is so realistic that NATO's going to use it to train its real pilots with. And to make the experience complete for Fiona, we've given it a full flight control system. We've got rudder pedals, a high-tech throttle control, and this funky joystick, giving her a total of 17 buttons to play with. So, Fiona, what do you think of it?
Ooh. Well, it's great.
I just find it absolutely hilarious that in a bid to find guests for the show, they bring in an actress who stars in a TV show about being a pilot. Then they ask her questions like she's basically a real pilot. She doesn't have a bloody clue, Sonia. Leave the poor woman alone.
Tell me about Strike Force then. What's it about?
It's basically about a group of fighter pilots and navigators who are supposed to be the best in the RAF. And they're brought together for a training mission, and basically they want to select a squadron who are going to be the NATO task force and sort of respond to world disasters, that kind of thing.
And what's your role?
I'm playing Flight Lieutenant Sarah Kite.
Sarah Kite, get it? Because kites fly. That's good writing, that is. I shouldn't have slagged the show off before.
Catch her on Strike Force on October the 14th. And if I practice, maybe I could be a Top Gun too. Come on. You nearly crashed.
There's some more.
Okay, come on.
No, girls, you're so aggressive. You've been playing too many war games. You need to be calm and gentle, like me.
Okay, right. What, and I don't say this lightly, the fuck is happening right now?
If you're hot, sweaty, and irritable...
Just like your mum. Moving on, Violet's having a time of it.
Some people say that computer games make you antisocial, negative, and aggressive. Well, those people should just go away and let us change them.
All right, calm down.
Anyway, I found something that should keep those people quiet. A puzzle game that's designed to make you think hard and feel positive. The game plays a strange cross between Breakout and a Rubik's Cube. But there's more to it than that. It's called Endorphin.
Ah, yes, Endorphin. A classic case of hyped advertising.
Stimulates your brain, causing it to release natural chemicals called endorphins, which make you feel good. And just in case that doesn't work, the soundtrack contains a selection of subliminal messages hidden in the music that tell you how great you are. Life force flows through me. I am now clearing my mind of negative beliefs. You're worthless. I can do anything. Other messages include, I love myself, and the rather sinister, we are glad you were born.
My sentiments exactly. Though maybe not put quite like that.
Just the thought of being fed all those secret messages makes me feel distinctly queasy. And all that stuff about releasing chemicals in the brain is distinctly suspect. Anyway, is it really necessary? There are no hidden messages in Virtua Fighter, but pulling off a good move still makes you feel pretty positive. And other games like Command & Conquer bring a smile to your face simply by being so superb.
Once again, Bad Influence surprises me out of the blue by being 100% correct about video games. Wonders never cease.
What more do you want?
Yeah, from a virtual girl to a virtual boy.
Oh, Andy.
Please, Andy.
Yeah, good.
This strange-looking device is the Virtual Boy. It's the successor to the Game Boy, and it's like a super handheld with a difference. All the games are in 3D. Inside the headset are two high-resolution monitors, one for each eye, showing their own picture of the game in red against black, and it's having two pictures that produces the 3D effect. Now, at home, you're watching in 2 dimensions, so you'll have to take my word for it, but the 3D is really very effective. There's a great feeling of depth when you play the games.
And it looks so crisp and clear.
This is one of only a few Virtual Boys in the country at the moment, and the rumour that reaches us is they're not going to release it over here at all. So this could become a collector's item.
Yes, it's a collector's item, but not one anyone actually wants. Like a quick-shot Supervision.
And in fact, we're giving it away this week as our competition prize.
Pretty cool prize until the migraine sets in. Last week was a PlayStation, twice, with Wipeout, twice. I certainly know which I'd rather have.
Now, remember those trick shots you mentioned on Virtual Pool? Well, this is just one of them.
Oh, yes, here we go.
Hold on.
Wow, 1 out of 4 ain't bad.
1 out of 4 ain't bad, he says. You can see why the review scores are always all over the place. Right, that's it for this episode. So, in summary then, balls.
Balls.
A load of balls.
Balls.
A load of balls. Load of balls.
And all beyond the planet, Solaris.
Balls.
So Hyli's finally breaking through the barrier of being the one reviewer who got everything wrong. And what's this? Hello and welcome, one and all, to yet another episode of Breaking Bad Influence, the show which sometimes feels like an aggressive infomercial.
Hello from Bad Influence. You'll have to hang on a second. Do you want to be rich, drive a fantastic car and have a wonderful lifestyle? Then become a computer games programmer.
Andy Crane's Games Programming School is available for the low price of $29.99 a month, not including VAT. Fortune guaranteed. Call 08900 999 CRANE now. Andy Crane's Games Programming School is not guaranteed to make you rich. Success in this field is down to some skill and a large amount of luck. Andy Crane's Games Programming School is registered in Bermuda for tax purposes. Calls to the Andy Crane's Games Programming School cost £20 for the first minute and $29.99 for every minute thereafter. Calls are expected to last no longer than 5 days.
On today's episode, we're going to be looking into the miserable world of boring publishers. A review of Shinobi X is arriving on the Saturn, which I didn't even know existed. And Normality on PC gets an injection of Violet Berlin.
But first, look at this. This is Populous on the PC, and it was the first of the God Sims.
Fondly remembered because Peter Molyneux kept his mouth zipped prior to releasing it.
Populous has addictive gameplay and has sold more than 4 million copies worldwide. But the really strange thing about it is that the game was originally rejected by all the big publishers, except one. It wasn't a beat-em-up, it wasn't a platformer, and it wasn't a shoot-em-up. The publishers that rejected it weren't prepared to take a risk with a new game idea.
Some things never change, eh?
The first successful snooker sim, Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker, is another game that could have ended up languishing in a dustbin if the game's publishers had had their way.
Okay, well that changes the argument slightly. There were billions of pool and snooker games, so it wasn't because the game was a new idea, it's because it was the same idea again. Well, now you've completely confused me. I don't know whose side I'm supposed to be on.
The game was branded as boring and unsellable by countless games publishers.
It's boring and unsellable.
Surely I can make that into a green screen.
It's boring and unsellable.
It's futuristic battle action and strategy as never before.
It's boring and unsellable.
We've put together something that I think is really going to give you a feeling for what this future could be like. We believe the metaverse.
Boring and unsellable.
I've learnt that.
Anyone can be a god.
It's boring and
Finally, back in 1989, one games company saw what all the others had missed and snapped up the idea. They gave the programmer a cheque for over £10,000 on the spot.
Have a check on the spot, my good man.
This is feeling very pantomime right now.
Unfortunately, that games company was taken over and the new owners weren't quite so keen on the game.
I'm sorry, we're not quite as keen on the game.
Only without the costume department. He went from a black hat to a red hat. I simply can't believe my eyes.
But after a lengthy court battle, too late, Andy. The game was finally sold to another publisher, launched in 1990, and it's still selling today.
Theme Park
Yep, just move straight on from that one. No time to let it stew.
is a great game. In it, you build and run a leisure park with rides for all ages and keep the customers fed and watered too.
And once again, Molyneux didn't have chance to overhype it, so once again, it's fondly remembered.
The real challenge, though, is to make a profit, as it is for the games companies. Did you know, for example, that only 1 in 5 of games released actually makes a profit? The publishers who first saw Theme Park thought it was going to be one of the other 4. It was originally released as a text-based business simulation by a chap called Peter Molyneux. He wanted to sell it by mail order. He was so convinced he would have a massive response, he even warned his local post office to expect thousands of letters and had his own mailbox, widened.
So he was overhyping his own post office. Look, the man has done some fantastic stuff, but Peter apparently never learned to calm his tits.
And this is Worms, a brand new game that's coming out on nearly every format. The game revolves around teams of heavily armed killer worms. Your team has to outwit and overpower up to 3 other teams over millions of different battlegrounds. Your worms have an impressive arsenal at their disposal. Bazookas, cluster bombs, airstrikes and Uzis, even exploding sheep and banana bombs. The last worm left alive is the winner. And yes, you've guessed it, Worms' potential wasn't spotted by the people who saw it first.
But again, even Worms wasn't particularly original. Scorched Earth came out 4 years before it. What's the moral of the story, Bad Influence? I'm lost.
And this is the man behind Worms, programmer Andy Davidson. Welcome to Bad Influence.
Thanks.
And he slaved away in his bedroom for more than 2 years, working with his Amiga A1200 in Blitz Basic, and came up with this, which is the original version of Worms. What's different between that and the game we're going to see released apart from the title?
Yeah, well, basically this was the first version of Worms which I got up and running. There's just a lot of things I wanted to do with the game which I didn't get time for.
This was done for a competition for Amiga Format magazine,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I thought that basically would be the best way of getting it noticed.
They've announced the results of the competition?
Yep.
And you weren't in there?
Worms was amongst them.
So Worms is lurking in a drawer somewhere, isn't it? Somewhere at Amiga Format magazine. So you knew it was a good game, but it hadn't done very well in the competition. So what did you do to get it noticed?
Well, I knocked another version together and took it along to the ECTS.
Now that's a computer trade show.
Yeah.
And you wandered around with your discs in a box.
Yeah.
And wandered. Did you go to lots of people?
Or? No. So Team 17 was the sort of top of the list because they sort of on the side of the programmers.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to comment over any of that. It was just interesting. It's a bit of a shock, to be honest, because this series has mostly contained guests that have absolutely nothing to do with anything. So having someone on to talk about, games, it's good, isn't it?
Worms is released in November, initially for Amiga, PC and PlayStation, but with other formats to follow soon.
Every format, Andy. Every format. So, next up, it's a review of a game I didn't even know existed. Shinobi X on the Saturn. They've taken the classic Shinobi with its wonderful pixel art and turned it into a horrible Mortal Kombat-style eyeball vomit. Good start.
The old man's back again.
For a new console, I'd expect new and exciting ideas, but there's 1,000,001 other games like this on the old machines.
See, now I don't know what to believe. They said this about Castlevania a few episodes back, and they were talking out of their arse then.
You fight your way through a level and you kill a boss. You fight your way through another level and kill a boss again.
You're describing most games, Lakesh.
The superficial aspects of the game, such as the graphics and the sound, can't mask the tired and irritating gameplay.
The graphics look shit, Lakesh. Dear Lord, if Lakesh is getting things wrong, I don't know what to do.
It really gets the adrenaline pumping. I just couldn't put the game down. But it's very similar to the Mega Drive version.
Is that a bad thing? Isn't the Mega Drive version good?
It looks good and plays okay, but it's not impressive enough to make me buy it.
It looked shit, but also this is such a 90s vibe going on right now. Everyone was looking for the new, bigger, better, more 3D thing. And so many games just got the shit shovel for trying to iterate on what had come before.
And the scores for Shinobi X. The boys gave it a rather old hat 3, and the girls a but we still like it 4.
Are the boys correct? Are the girls correct? I just don't know.
2, 3, to me, through.
Well, that's just good football.
Another way to become seriously rich is to become a professional footballer. But if you lack the skills, this is Actua Soccer, a new football sim which claims to be the most realistic ever.
It's boring and unsellable.
The player movement is based on real footballers from Sheffield Wednesday.
I thought you said the moves are based on real footballers. I don't know anything about football.
Oops. Several games have used the technique of motion capture to animate characters, but until recently, the equipment necessary was only available in America. Earlier this year, however, Violet Berlin went to visit the only motion capture studio in Europe.
Did anyone else notice that the second you mentioned Violet's name, they just started to play sexy jazz music?
And here I am at the heart of the European video games industry.
Oh, Europe. Fancy. Whereabouts in Europe are you, Violet?
Believe it or not, it's at Sheffield in Yorkshire.
Fancy.
In the early days of video games, most of the things you saw on screen were like this tram. Big blocks of stuff that only moved in one direction, like space rockets, planes and tanks.
Space rockets, planes and tanks all move in more than one direction.
But living creatures, people, animals, even aliens from the planet Zorg
Okay, Violet's still on the mushrooms.
don't move in big solid lumps. All their wobbly bits move around independently.
Just like mine.
That's why the characters in early games tended to move in a very unrealistic way, a bit like this. As games consoles became more powerful and proper animators began to design games for them, we got characters like Aladdin, who looks like he could have stepped out of a Disney movie. Slick, but you'd still never mistake him for a real person.
Well, no, that's because it's a cartoon, Violet.
It's called motion capture, and the only place in Europe for a motion capture studio dedicated to games is here in Sheffield, at the headquarters of computer games company Gremlin. One of their latest projects is a PC game called Normality Inc.
Normality. Yet another game that Violet has managed to get herself involved in. The Violet Berlin metaverse is truly a strange one.
The next step is to use the motion capture system to animate the characters you meet in the game, and I'm going to be one of them. The technology in this room cost about £250,000. It uses 6 video cameras to track the movements of the reflective spheres. Also, I think that Castlevania should have gotten a much better score, and I hate all of the children on this show. I'm Violet Berlin.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Kind of stand up slowly with power. There's a tape recorder over here. Slap. Slink a bit more.
Okay, if that's not Jarvis Cocker, then I'm Rick Witter. And that's a reference for you.
Now that I'm clear about the action, they're ready to capture my performance. The 6 cameras record my movements from different angles, and the computer ends up with a complete record of my fabulous acting. The next step
is delete everything they've just captured and start again.
And so here's the clean version of my action, being used to make the stick figure move on the screen.
Violet has never looked better.
Weird. Motion capture technology is set to revolutionise games which feature human characters. They'll move naturally and look as if they're real people set against a computer backdrop. This is a motion captured version of Violet Berlin, walking as naturally as possible.
Well, walking as naturally as someone with legs up to their tits could possibly walk anyway.
Violet reckons she now holds the world record for the most appearances in games, mostly because of making films of bad influence.
And here it is, Violet's performance captured into the actual gameplay of Normality Inc. Here she comes. It's brilliant. But it really is obviously Violet, isn't it?
Right. But just to clarify, the game doesn't actually look like this. All the characters are flat stock 2D sprites. This sort of stuff was just for the cutscenes. They've Peter Molyneux'd us. Next up, it's another review of another Micro Machines game. They completely screwed the pooch last time, so I demand a 5 out of 5 as reparation.
This is the third in the series of the Micro Machines games, and it's still brilliant.
Still brilliant, she says. If only you were involved 2 series ago, maybe we wouldn't be in this mess.
This is a construction part of the game where you can make your own tracks. I'm going to add some hazards here, so if I come off the track, I'll bang into them. I'm placing these water tiles on the inside of the track.
Those aren't water tiles. It literally says on the menu, floor.
You can store up to 10 tracks that you've made. This is one of the tracks I made myself. You can add different weather conditions, and I've added rain. You can also change the car's speed and acceleration, but it's still difficult to keep on the track.
Swerving on a straight tends to make things difficult, yes.
If you've got one of the earlier games, the only new thing is the construction kit.
It's not worth buying this game for the one extra feature.
I didn't like the original and I don't like this, which is probably because the gameplay is exactly the same.
Kick these children out.
And the scores for Micro Machines 96. The girls gave it an It's Still on Track 4, and the boys a Leave It in the Pits 3.
Fight everyone. Mortal Kombat 3's next. Third entry, so that must mean 3 out of 5 at most.
Mortal Kombat! Fight!
The gameplay is the same as the first two.
Again, expecting Mortal Kombat 3 to be anything other than similar to the first two is probably a bit of a misstep.
One of Sub-Zero's new moves is to make ice shower from the sky. You can also run at your opponents. All the new characters have special moves, and even the old characters are being redrawn and added new moves. Here's a new Mercy move. It gives your opponent a slight amount of energy back, but who cares?
Good point, well made.
Even though it's the third in the series, I still recommend people to buy it. They've tweaked it to near perfection.
They've definitely improved the look of it and the characters, but the gameplay is virtually the same.
Again, what are you expecting?
I like the new characters and the animality moves, but I hope this is the last 2D Mortal Kombat game.
I'm afraid you're going to be sorely disappointed there, Sunshine.
And the score for Mortal Kombat 3? Well, the boys liked it. They gave it a gory 4. The girls, a 3.
But who cares?
It's boring and unsellable.
Now, have you noticed all the reviews this week are sequels to popular games? Maybe the game publishers are trying to demonstrate that a good idea will run and run.
Or, on the other hand, perhaps the game's publishers are demonstrating that they would rather milk an old idea than take a risk. It's just like in the movies. It's safer to make Jaws 8 than a brand new film.
All good points, which leads me to believe they're going to show an example that completely undermines their argument.
But one of this week's releases does have a new idea. The net makes the internet the star.
And there we have it.
The film features Sandra Bullock as Angela Bennett, a techie computer analyst who spends her days ironing out bugs in games or tracking down viruses in programs.
But her life really spices up when a friend sends her a mysterious floppy disk. It allows techies to hack into top-secret, highly sensitive information on computer databases.
Technology is scary.
Systems for a while. One keystroke will wipe out your whole system.
Her life is turned upside down as she's thrust into a world of cloak and dagger espionage and computer deceit.
You have the wrong person. I don't know what you're talking.
I don't know, man. Hank's the man. You know, that dang old Hank's the man.
I don't understand.
And as you might expect nowadays, the film had its own internet site.
Wow, futuristic.
The address is http://www.
An elegant web address, I think we can all agree.
Loads of you, including Wayne Firth from West Yorkshire, have asked us to show more beat-em-ups.
More beat-em-ups. They've shown a beat-em-up every week this series.
Nigel Dawes from East Sussex owns an old 8-bit console, the Atari 2600, and wants to know why we never show it. Answer 1. Because it's old, boring and stupid, and nobody's interested in it except you.
This is unacceptable.
Sorry. Answer 2. We do, and here's a bit more of the classic 2600 version of Breakout. Old computers can move with the times much more easily than old consoles. And John Miller from Ayrshire wants to know if his prehistoric Commodore 64 can be connected to the internet.
This is unacceptable.
James Zielinski writes, if you take a Mega Drive with the Mega Drive's 32-bit upgrade, the 32X, and add a Mega CD, will you be able to play Saturn games on it? Well, it seems logical.
No, it doesn't. An Amiga with worms is the prize this week. Last week it was a migraine-inducing flop, so things are on the up.
We won't be here next Wednesday because there's a week of special programs to celebrate 40 years of children's ITV.
40 years of children's CITV, and they said it'd never last. Well, that's it for this week, so in summary then, Peter Molyneux was hyping up his own birth before he'd even come out of the womb. Micro Machines will never be more than average in the eyes of these stupid children, and I'm so sorry, Andy. Hello and welcome back to Breaking Bad Influence, the show that laments the loss of Nam Rood and dedicates an entire episode to cheats through the medium of an Andy Crane OC.
Later in the show, our special mystery superhero Cheat Boy will be revealing all.
Yes, you heard that right.
Who was that handsome man? You might want to video this week's programme for future reference. We'll also be looking at what could be the most exciting development in the history of television.
What, Tetris?
Three-dimensional pictures that you can see without wearing special glasses.
Oh, right. yeah. Well, first it needed to revolutionise modern television with the glasses, and I think we're already past the boredom stage in that, so good luck. Main review this week is Killer Instinct on the SNES, 5 out of 5. And Violet, determined to take over Zed on the number of features that don't involve video games, talks to blind people about some technology or other. I don't know, I fell asleep. Anyway, prepare yourselves.
I'm having real problems with one of my bumbling players. This is a job for Cheat Boy.
Fear not, oh Sonia. Fresh-faced young Cheat Boy is here to solve all your gaming catastrophes.
NBA Tournament Edition on the SNES, eh? Simple. This cheat will give you an extra special super secret player to help you dribble and get to the finals. On the initial screen, hold down Start, highlight R and press B, highlight O and press A, highlight Y and release Start and press A. You'll now be able to dribble like a demon with Royal Rumbler, His Royal Highness Prince Charles.
Can you help us out with some more?
Do I have the physique of an anorexic pipe cleaner? Lead me to him.
You know, sometimes an episode like this comes along where I literally can't add anything. I'm so speechless as to what I'm witnessing that all comedy goes out the window because it's already in the front room.
I can't drive.
Have no fear, young lady. Cheat Boy will save the day. With this cheat, you'll be able to choose from the fastest cars in the game without completing any of the tracks in first place.
Tamu might be able to take another second.
Oh, no, that's that. No! Oh, yes.
Matthew's having problems with Theme Park on the Amiga.
Theme Park? Why, that's the easiest of the lot. Enter your nickname as Mike when you start the game. Now, when you're playing, you can boost your money by pressing C. Zed gives you all the rides, and I, all the shots.
Thank you, Cheat Boy.
No trouble at all, my boy, no trouble at all.
That's brilliant. Hang on. I recognise that cheesy grin. You're not Gamesbuster extraordinaire Cheat Boy at all. You're mild-mannered presenter Andy Crane.
Oh, rats! The game's up. What gave me away, son?
The underpants, Andy.
What does that mean? Is Sonia trying to say she's witnessed Andy Crane's underpants multiple times at this point? What is going on? Anyway, we've finally reached a review. This time it's Killer Instinct, the first game I remember playing that tried to do something a little bit different in the beat-em-up genre with its absolutely mental combo system. What's the chances that these little dickheads don't appreciate that at all?
It's another game entering a very crowded beat-em-up market. It's going to find it hard to compete, especially with a £60 price tag. One original feature that this game has is a practice mode where you get another character who doesn't fight back or lose any energy to beat upon and practice special moves on for as long as you want. Unlike a lot of other fighting games, this one doesn't work on a round system. You have to take 2 energy bars away from your opponent.
So, in a game where you can do a 32-hit combo, while the announcer absolutely shits his pants, Adam chooses to talk about the practice mode and the fact that rounds work a little bit differently. What a start!
This is a better game to watch than to play. At £60, I'd rather get one of the Street Fighter games.
Don't expect arcade quality effects in this version, but overall it's a good beat-em-up.
I feel like they've all just woken up 20 minutes ago.
It's not exactly groundbreaking stuff, but it's still a good game to play.
And the scores for Killer Instinct. The boys gave it a we've seen it all before 3, but the girls were slightly more impressed and managed 4.
Oh, what is the point? Moving on, it's time for Violet to show a blind girl a bikini. But it's not just about pestering the visually disabled. The educational section is also here to bore as quickly as possible.
If she goes to a completely new city, she has no way of finding her way around. Ordinary maps are useless. But just up the road at the University of California, they're working on a system that might change all that.
It's so deadly dull and tedious and stuffy and boring.
Now, in contrast to the first section of this episode, where there was absolutely nothing I could add to the comedy on screen, this section is so boring, there's almost nothing I can do to liven it up, apart from take every single scene and provide it to you completely without context.
When you switch the receiver on, it immediately starts searching for a blind person up in space.
I'm the gas station.
At the university, they've got round this problem by putting in a blind person.
I'm the snack bar.
I hear lunch calling.
Because lots of you said, Trini, what about wearing it with a yellow Chanel bag? It's been in a box at the top of a cupboard. I forgot I had it. I know that sounds mad. It is fabric, and fabric is...
Chemistry. Point 1. Learning physics.
Danielle's hearing 2 different sets of information.
Physics.
Do it.
Chemistry.
Work it.
Chemistry. Chemistry. Chemistry.
Harder, better, faster.
Chemistry.
That's point 1 calling to her, and it's straight ahead.
Point 1.
And still the snack bar.
The personal guidance system is still at the development stage, and the plan is to create audio maps for cities all over the world.
Well, this episode has basically become a meta-commentary on how difficult it is to take the piss out of bad influence when it gives you absolutely nothing to work with. So it's time for the bit where nothing funny ever happens anyway. News and previews time. Chronicles of the Sword is coming out soon, and first off... Hello. That's probably the best voice acting I've ever heard in any game, but regardless, this looks like absolute pump. Thankfully, Andy can bang on about his favourite subject again.
Out soon are 2 new add-ons that could magically transform your Saturn. Put in this, and it becomes a photo CD player, allowing you to use a state-of-the-art console to view your holiday snaps.
That's right, photo CD players. How many times have they mentioned photo CD players now? 500 by my count. Big Red Racing is coming, a game I played an insane amount as a kid, and yet barely anyone ever seems to mention it, so seeing it here is bizarre, as I've begun to think it was a figment of my own imagination. Lastly, Wing Commander 3 is being replaced with Wing Commander 4. Surprise! Next review, Lemmings 3D. What other series can you think of that less required the move into 3D? There isn't one. Lemmings was the one game that never, ever needed to change to 3D, and yet here we are.
The Lemmings are back in this great game. It has all the original humour of the first, but with even more frustrating gameplay.
That's what I look for in my video games. Frustration.
The gameplay is the same as the original. You give the Lemmings jobs. Here's a builder. This game is not a game for an inexperienced player. You always have to be thinking of your next move. You can use either a mouse or a joypad. I found it easier using the joypad because you have more buttons.
This looks like a fucking nightmare.
Every time you complete 20 levels, you get a little Boy Scout badge and an animation as a reward.
Stop, I can only get so excited.
If you're a puzzle fan, this is the best game on the PlayStation, but it is very hard, so you won't finish it quickly.
Piss off.
It's a game you have to be patient with. It takes time to get to know it. I like the different views.
Bollocks to you.
It's frustrating at first, but once you get into it, it becomes compulsive.
Get to shite.
And the scores for 3D Lemmings, both the girls and the boys gave it a pretty good 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. What a bag of bowling balls. You know, I was sat here thinking, I can't rag on this game too much, I've never played it, but I don't need to play it. The entire concept is to take something that specifically works in 2D and force feed 3D up its arse through a tube. And then I thought, maybe I should play this just to see if I'm definitely right, but I already know I'm definitely right. So instead, I found 2 other poor sods who did actually play it. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brotal Recall playing Lemmings 3D.
You can play first. I don't want to play first because this video will end in about 5 minutes because that controller will end up through the window. Oh, Jelly Belly! Well, there you go.
Why did they need to be a part of this?
Subliminal advertising, I guess. I don't know what's he saying.
Oh, they're being released, so I'm not... Okay, we're off, I guess. How do I move the camera? Square. So, okay, so these are your directionals.
What? Oh, no.
How do I rotate? Not like that. Like this. Oh, God. Oh, that's the zoom then. So how do I... Oh, hey! I want to go... no. Oh, Christ, on a bike.
I don't understand.
What about you? How do I want it to go up?
David, they're all going to start falling off.
I don't care.
Well, you only need to save 10 of them, to be fair. Oh.
I'm almost certain I selected the brolly.
Well, now you're blocking them off, but they're still somehow...
They're not really 3D, are they? Configure controls. Let's start there, shall we? Because that was just...
Oh,
why is it even like that?
Ages 3 and up. Ladies and gentlemen, ages 3 and up. There. There we go.
Don't you fuck this up, boys. I'll fuck you up.
Here we go. Come on! Come on! Yes! Oh, that is so beautiful.
Why aren't they splattering when they hit that?
They can't swim, but somehow this is fine. I don't. It doesn't make any sense.
We can't swim. We can't take our
We can't swim,
but
but
our
we can
ankles
fall-
will not break.
We can fall 50 feet to a trampoline, to then fire 70 feet in the air, to then come right back down to a slab of concrete on a platform, whereby we're fine. I have nothing more to add.
Now, how's that for a contrast? 4 out of 5, my quivering arsehole. Anyway, speaking of overhyped shite...
A few weeks ago, we gave away one of these as a competition prize, the Virtual Boy. Now, it's an unusual handheld because it gives you a 3D image that is a picture with a sense of depth. It works because inside the machine there are 2 tiny TV screens that each produce a different picture to each eye, and that's what gives you the sense of depth.
It is possible to create a 3D image on a single monitor, and we've shown you several systems in the past on Bad Influence, but all of them involve wearing rather embarrassing eyewear.
See, I think these are exactly the kind of glasses that would just form a part of Andy's everyday clothing.
Wearing these glasses, you would see the red image with your left eye, the blue one blocked out, and the blue image with your right eye.
Thanks for explaining eyes to me, Andy.
2 images, hey presto, 3D. We filmed a far more sophisticated version of this system at a computer graphics show a couple of years ago.
Don't go crawling back to Zed for your fancy American footage. You kicked him out. Don't come back begging for more boring edutainment. He's off living his best life.
Everyone agrees it will be brilliant to play video games in 3D, but everyone agrees you look very sad wearing glasses like this and won't wear them at the arcade. Well, now you don't have to, because this system produces 3D pictures without having to wear the silly glasses. You are watching at home in 2D, so you can't get a full idea of the 3D, but Les, if I can just borrow your camera...
How many times now has Bad Influence tried to show us how good 3D is via the medium of a 2D format? It didn't wow anyone the last 8 times, but this time it's gonna work.
Thank you very much. I should be able to give you an idea of the depth. And Sonia, you stand perfectly still. Now, as I move round to the left, there is the beginning of the picture. As I move round to the right, you should be able to see, look, round the side of the gun Sonia's holding, and then round the other side. There's definitely a feeling of depth to that picture.
If you have to try and convince us that there's definitely a sense of depth in the picture, then it's pretty apparent there's not.
If you needed further proof, look at the lampshade behind Sonia's head. That's definitely moving in relation to her.
It definitely is, definitely.
Now, here at the glamorous end of 3D TV, I'm being filmed by 6 cameras at once, and each one is seeing me from a slightly different angle. So there's camera 1 on the far left, camera 2, camera 3, camera 4, camera 5, and camera 6.
Now that's all well and good when you're looking with one eye, like a television camera, but remember, as a human standing here, I'm looking with 2 eyes.
Andy, please, for the love of God, stop explaining eyes.
Now, if instead of using 6 cameras, you used 1 computer to generate 6 images, you got yourself a 3D video game.
Like this one. This is 3D Breakout, a game specially designed for the system. You play it with an air mouse like this, and the object of the exercise is to knock out all the blocks on the back wall, and it's great fun.
The bad news is that at the moment it's all very expensive. This prototype version alone costs over £100,000.
But the good news is the developers hope to have 3D game systems like this in the arcades by this time next year.
Yes, 3D, gaming's fastest fad. Did anyone on Earth ever actually play a game in 3D using a 3D TV and enjoy it?
The answer is no.
In the next section, Virtual Violet says...
Doctor Who, travel through time and space, parallel universes, genetic engineering, fantastic alien life forms. It's no wonder that science fiction has got its fans, and I'm one of them.
Which makes you think this section is going to be all about science fiction, and rightly so. But no, it's about one multimedia disc featuring clips and information about science fiction films.
This week I got a bit overexcited when I discovered that the Grolier Encyclopedia of Science Fiction has been squeezed into this. So, how has it benefited from its multimedia makeover? Well, the first thing I clicked on were the movie clips, which seem mainly to be trailers for 50s crowd pullers like a blind person clip.
Virtual Violet's proving that not all science fiction fans are sad animals.
Just make fun of your audience again, Andy. I'm sure you'll make up for it in the next series. This week's competition prize is Killer Instinct and a SNES, because even the Bad Influence lot didn't want to foist a copy of 3D Lemmings into some poor kid's lap. Last week, the prize was an Amiga with worms. Both fine prizes, but I'm bored of this boring episode full of boring things. So, in conclusion, Bad Influence Series 4 is going so well, they had to invent a fake Nam Rood and pretend Zed Wright still exists. The review kids are well and truly sick of beat-em-ups, but give them a bag of glass and they'll fall in love with it so long as it's in 3D. And Violet, stop trying to teach me things. I refuse to accept any knowledge. See you next time for another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence Series 4, the series that is determined to show us anything but video games.
China Black performing their brand new single and a spectacular laser display.
Seriously? Again? I feel like they're determined to cure everyone of cataracts at this point.
We're also going to be looking at scary games based on Doom, including this one for the 3DO M2.
Definitely looks real. Thankfully, we do have a review of Tekken this week, 5 out of 5, and Violet Berlin is checking out a new interactive sci-fi movie that must have done very well because I don't know what she's talking about.
But first, this month's edition of GamePro magazine has a very special cover mount.
Could have been the Bad Influence magazine if you managed to get past the second issue.
It's a lollipop with a real worm embedded in it to advertise Earthworm Jim 2. Would you like to have one? No? Anyone else?
No, thanks.
No.
What is happening to this show?
So we thought who better to demonstrate worm eating than the publisher of the magazine, Zed Wright. After all, she obviously expects everyone else to eat one. So,
thank you very much.
And we'll check on your progress throughout the show. We should have at this point, this is a special edible worm. So don't go eating any worms you find in your garden.
What is happening to this show?
The actual laser unit itself is up here, and just to show you how powerful it is, watch this. This is a bit of magazine that I found lying around in the office. Now you can see why the guys and I didn't stand on the stage.
Oh, but that would have been so much more interesting than this.
Now the secret to using a laser safely is to keep it moving. Don't leave it in the same place for too long. I'll try and show you what I mean. There is the laser beam projected against our studio building here at Yorkshire Television. This is when it's dangerous, when it doesn't move. So if I move the mirrors faster, the beam moves faster. And then, if I get the mirrors moving very quickly indeed, you get what appears to be a permanent circle. Now, from a safety point of view, this is good because the beam is never left in one place long enough to do any damage. And from a fun point of view, it's great too because now you can program it to do anything you like. Never mind one circle. What about 8 circles?
Calm down, Andy.
Bounce the beam off loads more mirrors, like that one that we've got over there and the ones that are all over our car park here. And you can do things like this. The next stage, of course, is to replace me with a computer program to do all these sequences, and then it gets really impressive.
Replace Andy with a computer, eh? I wonder.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Bad Influence. Today, we'll be talking about how to make smart choices and avoid bad influences. Before we get into that, let's meet some of our contestants. So let's get started. Our first challenge is to decide which path to take. You'll have to make a decision between 2 different paths. Each path will have its own set of risks and rewards. The question is, which path will you choose? Take your time and make sure you make a smart decision. Great job! Now let's talk about how to make smart choices and avoid bad influences. We all face situations where we must make decisions, and it's important to make sure we're making the right ones. So how can we do this? Now go out there and make smart choices. That's all for today's episode of Bad Influence. Until next time, stay safe and stay smart.
Well, that was even less interesting than Series 4. We're not doing very well here. Anyway, let's get back to Sonia's weird fetish.
Well, Lollipop, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Like it?
No, not at all.
Keep going, Denise.
Thank you.
Thank the Lord, it's Tekken time. And I swear to Kuma, if these guys give it anything less than 5 out of 5, we're done.
But tonight, don't call it a comeback!
Okay, It's Sohail. He's back in his 70s collar, but he has been working his way up the ranks this series. Come on, Sohail. It's the redemption arc. Don't disappoint me.
I don't usually like beat-em-ups, but without a shadow of a doubt, this is the best game I've played all year.
The Sohail redemption arc continues.
Here I'm going to try and pull off a special move with Yoshimitsu. And there it is. This is definitely the best fighting game I've ever played. The moves are a lot more fluid than, say, Virtua Fighter. It'll certainly take some beating.
Now that is a 5 out of 5 if ever I've seen one. Come on! Come on!
The controls are responsive, the characters' movements are fast and smooth, and I like the three-dimensional quality.
Once I learned some special moves, it became really addictive.
And the scores for Tekken. A hard-hitting 5 from the boys and a rolling with the punches 4 from the girls.
Could really do with one of those high-powered lasers right now just to burn the retinas out my head.
What have Aliens, Batman, and Interview with a Vampire got in common?
They're films?
Well, they were all shot here at the world-famous Pinewood Studios.
I was close enough.
The reason filmmakers come from all over the world to Pinewood is because it's got 52 acres of backlot to shoot in. It's also got the largest soundstage in the world and Europe's biggest exterior water tank. It's been used in films like The Man with the Golden Gun, First Night, and it's about to star in the sequel to A Fish Called Wanda, Fierce Creatures. Even Take That used it for the video for their #1 hit, Back for Good. The studio was taken over for 6 weeks, not by a film company, but by computer games giant Electronic Arts.
Oh look, it's Clive Owen, and this is all for a game called Privateer 2 The Darkening, which I've never played, but if it's got FMV in it then I want to.
It's got a budget of $5 million, and a large amount of that has been spent on the impressive star lineup. The cast includes Oscar-winning Christopher Walken.
And Christopher Walken? Okay, I'm all in.
The story begins with Lev Aris waking up in a futuristic hospital after 10 years in cryogenic storage.
Yeah, I need to review this one. No spoilers, Violet.
Today's the last day of filming, and Clive's about to shoot a scene.
Red light's up, is it? Here we go, and action.
In this scene, Clive Owen's character has been sent to a hotel room to meet someone who may know his identity. When he gets there, he finds his contact has been killed.
I said no spoilers, Violet.
The difference is at the end of each scene you shoot alternative choices depending how good the guy is who's playing the game. There's alternatives, and but apart from that, it's pretty much like shooting a movie.
So what kind of alternatives would there be?
Well, most scenes end with some sort of deal struck, and at the very end you'll shoot 2 alternatives, one being, okay, we've got a deal, or no, there's no deal, depending how many credits the player's got, and, you know, if they're any good or not, I suppose.
Clive Owen is just making this shit up, isn't he? He hasn't got a bloody clue.
This it might look a bit pathetic, but in actual fact, it's an ace sci-fi computer. This is used for when all the credits that the players get. So I take this off, have a look at it, and then the computer gets full of all the information of all the credits and how they're doing with the game.
Hacker Man. He's the most powerful hacker of all time.
You won't be able to get hold of The Darkening this year, but it should be out on PC CD-ROM in early 1996.
Okay, I should be able to pick it up from my local electronics boutique then. Perfect.
However, by the end of today's programme, Denise from GamePro magazine said she would eat a lolly with a worm in it. Are you there yet?
I'm at the worm.
This is just weird. It's news and previews time now. X-Men is coming to the Super Consoles. Andy is showing off his fancy arcade sticks, and Syndicate Wars is coming out in March next year. A fine game. But I'll tell you what isn't a fine game.
There's nothing new to make this stand out from any other platformer. It's a very basic game with a few cute animations.
They're on form this week. Come on, 1s and 2s, it's gotta be.
But there's nothing particularly original in the gameplay. It's a very standard platform game. The standard method of attack is close-range punch wearing boxing gloves. Other weapons include a mallet, a mass of semi-automatic guns, and a tornado power.
Hold on, a massive semi-automatic gun. A Tommy gun, surely. It's one of the most famous lines in the bloody film, and that line is him literally just saying,
A Tommy gun!
This won't keep you playing very long. Gameplay-wise, there's little to keep you interested.
It's just another platformer based on a film character. and the music is as tedious as the gameplay.
The gameplay doesn't exactly stretch the imagination, but it does have some nice touches.
She's just ruined this 1-1 streak, hasn't she?
And the scores for The Mask, not very good, I'm afraid. 2s from both the boys and the girls. Nice film, shame about the game.
No, apparently they all ruined it. What a surprise. Blade Force for the 3DO is next. This one is modern, but it's also on the 3DO, so I assume this will be shit as well. I have no idea. Who on earth ever had a 3DO?
At first I thought Blade Force was another boring 3D shoot-'em-up, but it really gets your heart beating. I found it one of the most addictive games since Tetris.
What a weird comparison.
This is level 3. It looks much the same as the other levels, but it's a lot harder. There are loads of power-ups to collect, such as fuel, energy and weapons. You need to collect these because it makes the boss at the end of the level a lot weaker.
It doesn't make the boss weaker, it makes you stronger, you numpty.
This is one of the only games that reveals the 3DO's true potential. It's difficult and addictive, and a must-buy.
It's a fascinating game, but it's very hard to control. You have to judge both heights and distances, and it makes a training mission essential.
I found this quite frustrating as there's no clear indication of what to do. It's the type of game you need to spend a lot of time with.
I've absolutely no basis for comparison, but I'm giving this one to Sohail because he's now become the voice of reason after an entire series of spouting nonsense.
And the scores hovering around 4 from both the boys and the girls.
What? It's not just Andy Crane that needs swapping out for a computer. I wonder if the AI could do a better job of this as well. Let's see.
Hi everyone, we're here to review Jungle Trouble on the ZX Spectrum. We thought it was a really fun game, with lots of levels and challenges. The graphics were really good, and the controls were easy to use. We found the game quite challenging, but also really enjoyable.
The game also had some really cool power UPS that you could use to help you through the levels. There were also some great sound effects, which added to the atmosphere.
Overall, we thought Jungle Trouble was a great game.
Well, absolutely none of that is correct, so I guess it's on par with the actual reviews.
Bad Influence Worm update. She's bitten the head off, haven't you?
I have bitten the head off.
Why is this still going on? Who cares?
Like it or loathe it, Doom is big. But it's getting on a bit now, and everybody's waiting for the next game from the Doom creators. It's called Quake, and it's so secret all you can see of it are these pictures loaded down from the internet. But the programmers promise it'll be out next year.
But if you can't wait that long, there are scores of games jumping on the Doom Gore wagon like this one. This is Killing Time on the 3DO, being put through its paces by Simon from China Black. Unlike most Blastomatic Doom-style games...
Wait, what was that word?
Blastomatic.
Oh, please let's make that the new Bad Influence lexicon.
So how are you getting on?
It's got great sound effects, it's really spooky, but it's a bit slow, but there's some great characters you can blast. Not bad.
There'll be more Doom fun for 3DO owners next year with this game. You'll be able to play it with the new M2 add-on cartridge. Players can explore underground tunnels and blast monster aliens.
It also doesn't exist based on this clearly pre-rendered footage.
The more Doom style is copied, the more features are added to the games. This one, Mortal Core, allows you to add your own voice samples to the characters. As we've done, haven't we, Eric?
Yes, we have.
Try and demonstrate it.
Never fear, fresh-faced Sonia. It's Andy to the rescue.
How about this one? Try this one, try this one.
Yo, Andy, eat my shorts.
This is the most 90s thing ever. Being able to change the sound effects was the height of customizability.
The lookalike that's being tipped to topple Doom from its pedestal is this one, Duke Nukem 3D on the PC. The game's loaded with some fantastic new weapons and features. You can place booby traps on the walls.
Ha! Booby traps, they know what they're doing.
If you're feeling particularly mean, you can stamp on them for afters. Are you a mean man, Simon?
I'm not violent, honest, but I love the way you can destroy everything in sight.
The words of a murderer.
The plots of computer games are usually the same. Whether it's a cheeky monkey, a cutesy bug, or a skateboarding lizard, you're generally the good guy. Well, I'm sorry, but I'm sick of saving the world. I want to be evil.
I tell you what's evil, Violet, these bloody camera angles. Violet goes on to show off Command & Conquer, as well as the upcoming Dungeon Keeper. The best thing Bullfrog ever did, hands down, fight me. And if this turns up for a review, I don't think I can even watch it.
Out of my way, suckers!
Virtual Violet having fun being bad, and she looks so sweet. Now we're just about ready for our laser show, and China Black are going to star in it. What are you going to perform?
We're going to perform a song called Don't Throw It All Away.
Is that the new single?
That's right, yep.
All right. And when's it out?
November the 13th.
Right, well, get on with it, guys.
Last week's competition prize was something, I don't know, and this week it's a PlayStation with Tekken. That's it, that's your lot. What a terrible episode. So in summary then, this show about video games is barely about video games anymore. If you're going to keep showing a woman eating a worm in a lollipop, it's probably worth actually coming to some sort of conclusion that's interesting instead of just forgetting about it altogether at the end. And finally, in some good news, Sohail has lifted himself out of the mire he put himself in to become the new voice of reason among all the children. Long live Sohail Redemption Arc. See you next time for another episode of this show that is about anything but games. Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Series 4 of Breaking Bad Influence, a series which feels like it's echoing through the corridors of time for 1,000 years, repeating and regurgitating everything that came before it like a giant vomit worm.
Yes! Hello from a high-scoring, non-boring footballing Bad Influence. This week, we'll check out the new generation of soccer sims with the help of our star guests.
Yes, they definitely haven't done that before.
If you prefer fashion to football, we've got a great new package that lets you design stylish clothes like this.
Yes, they also definitely haven't done that before.
Violet Berlin gets to star in yet another video game, but will she cope with her first night nerves?
Yes, she definitely hasn't done that before.
But first, these clothes, including my jacket, were all designed on a computer, and here's how. It was done using a package called Designer, and what makes it particularly useful for fashion is that there are hundreds of stored pictures of models, clothes and accessories. Now, what I've got up here are two models, a male and a female, that I've chosen from my options list, and I've already dressed the male, so now I'm going to dress the female.
Okay, right. First off, that woman is in the nip. Rude. But secondly, this is a clip art package. No one, and I mean no one, is designing clothes in this thing.
So, let's start off with the top. And there's quite an extensive range here.
Quite an extensive range. I just counted 24. I've got more pairs of socks than she's got clip art of sleeveless shirts.
Right, so I've got a top for her. Now I want to give her some trousers, I think. Again, a pretty good range.
Stop it! Stop lying!
There you go. So again, just fit them on the model. Now I want my skinny rib to go over my trousers rather than under, because just that's the way I feel they should be worn. So I can just change them round very simply, like so.
Okay, but first she was talking about how this package was used to design the outfit, but she hasn't actually designed anything. She's just putting clothes on a virtual mannequin.
You can also personalise these outfits to get them exactly the way you want by picking up the contours on each line and just changing them. So, for instance, if I wanted to change the collar on this t-shirt, I just need to enlarge the area and then move in these contours to whatever I want. Now, I want to make the neckline a little closer there, just change the shape a little, like that.
Okay, I tell a lie, that was some excellent designing.
Now, you can also colour these clothes any colour you want to, going to the paint palette. So, for instance, I want to make my top red. Just a matter of clicking on red. And also, I want to give it a bit of body, really, just to give more idea of what it's going to look like on a real model. So it's just a matter of changing it there. I still want the top to be red, so there, it's red with a bit of extra body.
That's not a bit of extra body, that's literally just a gradient. You've made it look like she's been cleaning out the guttering.
You can also change the texture of your material if you wanted to. If you're a designer, you can scan in your own material, just to give you an idea of what it would look like. I've done this very quickly because I'm just demonstrating the system. But designers at Leeds College of Art...
Right. Who was asking for this? Nobody asked for it when Violet did it, but at the very least she wore a dress that had the Bad Influence logo on it. What is this? Why is it here? Who wants this?
Oh, my outfit. designed on a Game Boy. Our main review this week is Worms on the PlayStation.
Right, it's review time, and this week it's Worms, which, do I even need to say 5 out of 5? It's got to be 5 out of 5, right? They're still releasing the same game to this day, and it still sells.
History repeats itself.
I thought this was going to be another boring Lemmings clone, but I was pleasantly surprised. Worms is one of the most addictive games in years, especially in two-player mode.
So hail, so hail, so hail, so hail.
The playing area in the game is different every time. You can give your worms names as well. I've called mine Andy, Sahel, Violet and Sonia, and we're playing against Take This, who are one of the better teams in the game.
I love the fact he put himself in the game and the other 3 worms are the presenters and not, say, any of his actual peers. Fuck those guys. Sohail is a cut above these days.
This is a stonking game that should be on everyone's Christmas list.
A stonking game. Slap that on the box, Team 17.
It's a game you have to practice, but once you've sussed it out, it's brilliant.
You have to practice, everyone. Oh no.
This is an excellent game and hugely addictive, but it's much more fun playing against a friend than against the machine.
Well, that could be said of any game, to be fair.
And the scores for Worms, the boys give it an excellent 5, the girls almost as good, 4.
Well, that one lass can fuck right off. Go and practice saying 5 out loud in the mirror.
She's got to practice sometime.
CDs have got loads of spare memory just hanging around, waiting to be filled with something interesting. The games companies had a brilliant idea. They filled it with video clips. They were often filmed in the company car park and starred anyone who happened to be hanging around the office at the time. For example, at least some of the cool biker women who feature in the end-of-level sequences in Road Rash were plucked from behind desks at Electronic Arts to star in the game.
Nowadays, the video sequences are a lot more sophisticated, often with big-name professional actors. But video sequences still come in for a lot of criticism from games players because they can mean long, boring stories and nothing much in the way of gameplay.
Finally, Sonia says something I agree with.
They still believe there's a future for film sequences in games.
Well, I'm afraid they're wrong. This is all leading up to Violet Berlin appearing in yet another video game, although one that no one has ever played. Gabriel Knight 2. Now, I know what you're thinking. Someone must have played it, but no. Absolutely no one has played it. You might even be sat there thinking you have played it, but no. No one has.
Gabriel is a shadow hunter, a sort of gothic X-Files special agent, and he's been asked to investigate a series of mysterious murders in a Bavarian village. The police believe the victims were attacked by a pack of wolves, which have escaped from the local zoo. But as you enter the world of the shadow hunters, you quickly realise that things aren't quite what they seem.
You're really trying to tell a good story. You need to show emotions, and particularly with the mystery, sometimes characters may be lying to you, and it's kind of hard to get that across with a little animated character. So a live actor can show a lot more emotion.
Another big US company, San Francisco-based Rocket Science, are also well known for putting real action into their games.
Rocket Science Games, the masters of making the same game with different FMV underneath it.
So, eat your heart out, Andy and Sonia. Violet hits the big time. Okay, I know it's not exactly Princess Leia, but you've got to start somewhere.
I've only got a tiny walk-on part, and I don't think my character is going to give you much help solving the puzzle.
Excuse me, can you tell me what the way to the red...
I hope they kept that in.
Excuse me, can you tell me what the way to the red... Excuse me, do you have the right time, please?
Well, I could make the time for you.
Yeah? Don't worry.
This is very awkward.
News and previews time, the Ultra 64 is coming out, but not in the UK for another year at least. It's only available in Japan. Remember when that used to happen? Theme Hospital is in the works at Bullfrog, another great game that shouldn't be as good as it is. And Rebel Assault 2, which I've not played, but it's probably fine, I don't care. Speaking of things I don't care about, it's time for a review of Weapon Lord on the SNES.
Because of the new characters and the special moves, I thought it was going to be a good game. But after a while, I realised that underneath all the detail, it was still the same old gameplay.
Again, not sure what you were expecting at this point in time. You don't constantly get excited about the release of a new football game and then get disappointed when it is, in fact, another football game.
It's not the most impressive game I've played, and it's not up to the standard of Street Fighter Turbo, but it's still playable.
It's playable. Surely there is no accolade higher.
I like the look of this game, but not the gameplay. It was basic bash the buttons.
If you're a die-hard beat-em-up fan, you might like this, but it didn't appeal to me.
And the scores for Weapon Lord. Average 3s from both the boys and the girls.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. As average as margarine on bread. The next game is another game that slides into the envelope of games that no one was talking about 4 months after it released. The Purple Phantom, who wasn't even as good as the Pink Panther.
I didn't like this game.
I know the review does actually continue, but man, I really wish that was it.
This is the map screen. It shows you what levels you have completed. Once you've completed a level, you can return to it to collect extra power-ups. There is a bit of a puzzle element to this game, because to access later parts of the levels, you must destroy consoles like these, or find the correct ID pass to open doors.
Call me pedantic, but I wouldn't really describe that as a puzzle. I need a key to let myself in and out of my own house. I don't declare myself a member of Mensa every time I go to the shop.
I'm afraid Phantom 2040 loses its appeal rather quickly. It wasn't for me.
The kids are on fire today.
This is totally unoriginal. I've seen everything a zillion times before, and even the character is unappealing.
She's right, it should have been Pink Panther.
It's an old style of game with average graphics, and chances are you've already got a game exactly like it at home.
So hell, so hell, so hell, so
And the scores? Not very good, I'm afraid. 2s all round.
Damn! Other than the girls who ruined the Worms review with their unnecessary deduction of a point, these have been solid scores all round this week.
A hush descends upon the crowd as Crane prepare to take the free kick that'll clinch the match.
Computer football games, on the other hand, are getting more and more realistic these days, and there are loads due out in the next few months.
This one's Prime Goal on the PlayStation.
Prime Goal! People never stop talking about Prime Goal.
So, loads of football games then, but we've decided to take 3 of the best and give them the ultimate test. We're getting professionals to try them out for us.
Professional footballers play football games yet again on Bad Influence. I would say that Series 4 of Bad Influence is like a best-of compilation at this point, where they cherry-pick all the ideas they've had over the past 3 series. But I really can't call this the best of anything.
Goalstorm.
Goalstorm! People never stop talking about Goalstorm.
What do you think of this? You've been playing it all afternoon.
I'm enjoying it.
Leah's been playing actual soccer on the PC.
With a joystick? Absolute madman.
Real professional footballers were wired up to a computer, which gathered information about how they kicked, dived and ran. The game was all the usual footy features too.
These camera angles are truly wild.
I think it is very realistic. I'm still struggling to get grips with, but I do like the commentary.
Yeah, that's great.
It's very good, yeah. It's brilliant, that.
All right, so overall, you think you'd want to stick with it?
Yeah, if I give it a couple of months, I might be all right.
And this one is Striker 96 on the PlayStation.
He's in the book.
It features match commentary by Andy Gray. It has super fast action. The players can pass with pinpoint accuracy, and there are scores of international teams to choose from, as well as a variety of multiplayer options. You like this one, don't you?
I do, yeah. I think this one's like more realistic to the Premier League, nice and fast.
More realistic to the Premier League, he says. It's moving like a Looney Tunes cartoon. Why is everything so fast?
So, Lee, you've now played all 3 games. Which one did you like the best?
Well, I like actual soccer, but my personal favourite was Striker 96. I thought it was very fast and very realistic.
And Andy, which is your favourite?
My favourite is Striker 96.
Striker 96, a game that will definitely continue to garner success year on year. Well, Andy stole Nam's thunder recently, so it's time for Violet to steal Nam's thunder. They really are missing him, aren't they?
On this screen, take your controller and roll the D-pad round in a clockwise direction. New words will appear. Rolling mode. Now, when you play the game, tap the D-pad twice on any diagonal and your dragon will roll.
Motion sickness mode. Hooray!
How to get the nightmare key in level 2 of Zelda. Well, basically, you've got to kill the creatures in the correct order.
This is an extremely specific tip to provide. I mean, first you've got to own the game, and then you've got to have played up to this section of the game, and then you've got to have become stuck on that exact puzzle in that exact dungeon for this specific piece of television to have any sort of meaning to you. And then you've also got to have been watching this particular episode without knowing that this particular tip was even going to be part of it. I predict that approximately 0 people found this useful. This week's prize is a PlayStation with worms and a football signed by some football men. Two prizes that definitely work together. Last week was a PC with Wing Commander 4, but no footballs because they didn't have any football men handy. Next week, we'll be getting an exclusive look at the Ultra 64. But in the meantime, let's summarise. Bad Influence has definitely done this before. And it's definitely done this before. And it's definitely done this before. See you next time for another episode that you've probably already seen. Hello and welcome back to Breaking Bad Influence, the show that doesn't seem to end even though the final series seems to have had difficulty starting. This week... Yes, it's Cheap Gadget Week, but we've also got Donna Eyre and Brett Adams from Biker Grove who do barely anything in the entire episode because, let's be honest, what can they even do? But that's not all.
We've also got this gadget that lets you make international phone calls for the cost of phoning your next door neighbour.
Yep, that's right. Andy is using many words to describe what me and you would call a microphone. And just to be clear, that microphone is connected to a PC which is connected to the internet. He's making out like the microphone is doing all the work because he's clickbaiting you, and it makes me sick. Finally this week, some rally game on the Jaguar no one has ever heard of, and Violet brings us the worst possible way to go about getting your video game ideas published. Look forward to that.
But first, we've raided the Bad Influence toy cupboard to bring you some tasty gadgets that won't cost you a fortune, like the one being modelled so stylishly by Donna here. It's called R-Zone, and it's basically a wearable games machine.
Donna, as ever, looks like she has no idea where she is.
You control it with this joypad here, which is connected to the headset. The game is projected onto the screen in front, so it looks like it's floating in midair, doesn't it? What's it like to use?
It's quite weird. The idea is good though, but I don't know how many people will go out wearing one of these.
I'm not sure it's meant to be worn as a fashion statement, Donna.
For the brainier person, here's a pocket gadget that will challenge the mind. QuizWiz is an electronic trivia machine. The questions are all in this book, and there are hundreds of categories. So, Brett, I'm going to give you a question on TV trivia.
Come on, then.
Right, it's question 217, so 217, please.
217.
Right, and the question is, on Star Trek The Next Generation, who plays the wise bartender? Is it A, Robin Williams, B, Whoopi Goldberg, C, Winona Ryder, or D, Roseanne Barr?
Let's have a guess. I'll go for B.
B? Okay. I'll have to ask you something harder.
Okay, so this machine doesn't ask the questions. You have to read the questions from the book, and you also have to tell it which question you're reading. So why the hell would you need the machine? Just print the answers in the bastard book. Anyway, here's the world's most annoying pen, as presented by the world's most annoying pencil.
If you're caught without your organiser, then you can record messages into one of these special pens. It's got loads of electronic sound effects built in as well, like dog barking, phone ringing, car horns, or even, get this, the dentist drill. But the best thing is you can record your own voice and play it back instantly using these record buttons and this little microphone I'll show you. And cue Sonia.
It's time to check out the first of this week's pile of mostly forgettable games with Power Drive Rally on the Jaguar. And to be fair, for a Jaguar game, it looks okay.
When I first played this, I was completely absorbed and totally addicted. But 3 days later, I'd completed it and didn't want to go back.
3 days of pure joy just aren't enough for Lakesh.
The steering is pretty difficult when you first start, but as you play through the game, you'll find it easier and easier. Because we don't have a map in this game, the code drive is really important. He tells you when the corners are going to come, and he tells you how sharp they're going to be.
It's not really helping you, though, is it?
It's immediately accessible to everybody and exciting while it lasts. Unfortunately, it doesn't last very long.
It was his fault. He was driving too fast.
This is much better than most racing games. Once you know what you're doing, the gameplay is compelling.
Once you know what you're doing, you're driving a bloody car.
I found it quite difficult to control, but apart from that, it's an enjoyable racing game.
This kid has been on the show since the dawn of time, and he still talks like he's reading off a blackboard.
And the scores for Power Drive Rally. The boys gave it a neutral 3, the girls an overdrive 4.
Well, the girls clearly figured out what they were doing faster than the boys. I genuinely have no idea if this score is correct or not, and honestly, I've given up caring.
Power Drive Rally not quite reaching top gear. But never mind that, I've got a great idea for a game.
Don't know, what is it?
It's called Pizza Delivery Boy 2000, really. And
oh God, I can't wait to hear Andy's design ideas for this game. Pizza Delivery Boy 2000. What's the 2000 for? Is it just a Paperboy ripoff? Is Pineapple banned?
Actually, no, I'm not going to bore you with the details. Have you got any game ideas?
Wait, what the fuck? Why did you even bring it up, you absolute cock tease?
Yeah, we're going to have a big beat 'em up between, like, Beta Grove versus Hollyoaks.
Yeah.
No,
That'll be good, actually.
you need to so fun. You need to stand as that. You've got to beat up Phil and Grant, and then on the second round, you've got to get past Peggy.
Because they're on a soap opera, so it's funny because they're on a soap opera because it's funny because they're on a soap opera because it's funny because those two they're on a soap opera, so it's funny because of that.
Well, if your head's full of ideas for amazing video games, then pay attention. Here's Violet Berlin with a Bad Influence Guide to how to get your idea accepted by a games company.
Can I interest you in a game? Maybe you'd like a 3D Explorer map.
There has never been such a genre before or after Violet just said that sentence.
Or perhaps Madam would prefer a mysterious graphic adventure.
Literally no one wants to play Myst, Violet. You're a terrible saleswoman.
No, well, how about a 2D platform shoot 'em up? Whatever you want, you can be pretty sure it's here on the shelves somewhere. There are thousands of games, but there aren't really that many good ones.
It's a bold statement, Norman.
Which means games developers are always on the lookout for great new ideas to put inside these glossy boxes. So, to help the developers out of it, we present the Bad Influence Guide to Computer Games Publishing.
Okay, presumably this isn't a real book, but after having already watched this, I would absolutely love to get my hands on it just to see the full extent of the madness that was written down, because as you'll see, this is the most ineffectual way to get a game published I've ever come across.
Now, first we need an idea. Well, obviously we don't have any, but fortunately we know a woman who does.
Well, basically it's a sim game along the lines of SimCity 2000, but instead of running a building or a city, you're actually running a newspaper.
Great, so now we've got the idea, let's consult the guide and find out how we can get it published.
Okay, right. Problem number one, you don't just have an idea and then go and get it published. If that was the case, we'd all be doing it.
It's impossible to copyright your idea, so only talk to a games company you think you can trust.
Okay, problem number two, no, you can't trust any games publishers.
But where do you find them? Well, not in the yellow pages. Try a games magazine, or the back of games boxes.
Oh, hello, is that Nintendo?
I'm sorry, but could you please fuck off?
Okay, then I'll do that. Yes, thank you very much. Goodbye.
Don't ring the games companies about the idea. They'll want to see something in writing.
Problem number three, this is the same as problem number one. Don't write to the publishers because you have literally nothing to offer them.
Graphics will be important in the finished game, but unless you're really good, don't bother sketching your characters at this stage.
Problem number four, if you can't even produce concept art for the one-line sentence of a game you've just come up with, your chances of getting anything published are now even less than nil.
Give a brief outline of your idea, and then as much detail as you can on the gameplay. That's what will make your proposal stand out from the crowd.
Problem number five, no.
Armed with a Bad Influence Guide and a copy of Kate's game proposal, we were confident of success. First stop, Sega head office.
Hi. I've got a really good idea for a game, and I was hoping I might be able to speak to somebody from your company. Maybe if one of your development people is in?
You've come to the wrong building.
Oh well, maybe we'll have better luck at Virgin.
Hi, someone here to see me?
Yeah, they just want to speak to you about our video game production.
Oh, right, okay.
I've got a really good idea for a game, a software
right.
game, and I was hoping you people might be able to take a look at it and see if you'll develop it for me.
Okay, yeah, it's not quite as easy as that, though. And
Polite but strangely firm.
Not strangely firm, Violet, sensibly firm. He's got two mad women in the office waving a single sheet of A4 paper about, claiming they've got a game on their hands.
There's no one at reception, we'll just go straight up.
Violet, you're doing a crime!
We could have a look at it. You'd have to leave it with us.
Right.
And we'd spend time evaluating it.
But if you look at it now, you might be able to publish it in time for Christmas.
I very much doubt we'd publish it in time for Christmas. Very much.
I suspect we wouldn't have got this far if we didn't have a film crew with us.
This guy's face tells me he wishes to God you didn't have a film crew with you.
Always make an appointment, as we did with Joe Cook of Maxis.
You put an awful lot of detail into it, which is a good thing.
Don't humour them, woman!
Because a lot of people come up with ideas, and then it's difficult to work out how it'll translate into a game. They'll come back with a game.
Maxis make all the classic sim games like SimCity, so this could be Kate's best chance.
If we go ahead, you've got yourself a game. Congratulations.
Success! Well, sort of. It could take years before the game appears in the shops.
Which it never will. Well, that was an absolutely pointless and terrible set of suggestions that I'm sure you're all glad you sat through. It's news and previews time. Viewpoint for the PlayStation is coming out, which I can guarantee no one bought. Pinball World, Tilt, and most importantly, Ultra Pinball are all coming out. Not sure why Pinball was suddenly popular again, but oh well. And then we've got a Thunderhawk sequel, which left the Sega CD behind to appear on literally everything else, so it might sell at least one copy. Marsupiani, which I've never heard of in my life, appears on the Mega Drive for review next.
When I first played this, I thought it was going to be easy because of the cute character and the cartoon-style graphics.
Have you never played a 16-bit character platformer before? They're all bastard hard.
The puzzles in this game are quite difficult. For example, here, I've got to get Benelli over the water tank. First, I choose the mouse icon to scare him to run into the tank, which drops the plank. Then, I've got to drop some fruit to keep him still. Then, change the tail icon into the stairs and get Benelli over the obstacle.
Well, I guess at least this has some interesting ideas outside jumping.
It's colourful and fun, but the puzzle element is a little too difficult for the inexperienced player.
It takes a lot of practice to complete the levels, so it'll certainly keep you entertained for a while.
And the scores for Marsupiani, a prehensile 4 from both the boys and the girls.
Yep. Fair enough. I've never heard of it, nor will I ever play it, but at least it tried. And presumably it wasn't created off the back of two mad women walking into the development studio with a single idea in their heads. ISS Deluxe is coming out, but can it beat the 1001 other football games that came out this week?
This is the best football game I've played.
Of course it can. Every time a new football game comes out, it's the best football game they've ever played. They've got the memories of Goldfish.
There are 8 different stadiums, all different sizes. The pitches play differently too. This is Spain's, which is one of the fastest. The players turn better, but passing and shooting still lets the game down, as it is too difficult. You have to figure out the easiest way to score and stick to it.
So it's the best, but it's still a bit shit. Got it.
It's straightforward to play and enjoyable. It's one of the best football games I've played.
As far as football games go, this is pretty good, but it's still a little slow and too hard to score.
And the scores, a match-winning 4 from both the boys and the girls.
It's good, but it's shit. 4 out of 5. Now here's a section about telephones.
Telephone, a wonderful invention, isn't it? You can talk to anybody who's got one anywhere in the world, and I'm on the phone to Los Angeles at the moment. Yeah, hang on, I'll be with you in a second. The phone was actually invented in America in 1876, followed closely by the invention of the telephone bill. The telephone bill is a really bad thing if you're like me and you make loads of international calls. Look, I'll just have to go. I won't be a second, hang on. So wouldn't it be a great idea if you could make international calls for the price of a local call? Well, now you can. And amazingly, it uses the world's most boring technology, the internet.
Andy really did have his finger on the pulse of modern technology and which ones would lead the way. I mean, who the hell uses the internet these days?
It's called the internet phone. All you need is a microphone, some clever software and some speakers. Let's see who's online at the moment. You can only speak to anybody who's got the system. What about Weasel?
I don't know who you are.
Hello, this is Andy Crane. I'm calling from a television programme in England. I'd like to speak to Weasel if he's there, please.
I don't know what you want.
What time is it in Ohio, Weasel?
If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
And how often do you spend on the internet phone? Do you talk to lots of people from all over the world?
I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Oh, well, what a rare privilege, and a pleasure to speak to you as well. Thanks for talking to us, Weasel. Ta-ra.
What an insightful conversation, and not a racial slur in sight. Truly, these were the innocent times.
You can use similar software to get any sort of sound over the internet, and at the moment we're listening to live radio from America. In fact, the radio station is KPIG, which is in Santa Cruz, and that's about 5,000 miles away. But you can even send TV pictures down the internet.
What the hell are TV pictures? Does she mean videos? How do they manage to still not know what videos are?
Now, what we're seeing now are live TV pictures from America. The pictures aren't brilliant, but that's because a normal phone line can't carry enough information for full quality TV.
Oh, okay. She was actually right with the initial description. The internet is so jank that you get about 1 frame every 5 seconds.
Computer is constantly sending and receiving information via the internet as to where all the other people are in the virtual room and where Donna is.
Let's see if she answers me then.
She will eventually, I think.
Donna, hi.
Oh,
We're
Pele
talking to
wants to talk to you.
now. Right, I'll say hello to Pele.
Yeah, that's enough idle chat in the cyber lounge, if you like. But if you meet your best mates and you want to have a private conversation, you can slope off to one of these little side rooms.
Andy, please don't encourage children to go into private chat rooms with people on the internet, even if that other person is Donna Air.
In fact, there's a whole virtual space station to explore here. What do you think of it?
Really good. The graphics and stuff are excellent.
She's well into it.
Are you partial to the overhead viewpoint of micro machines? Or do you prefer into-the-screen races, like the classic F-Zero? There are advantages to viewing a track isometrically, like rock and roll racing.
Okay, I'm just going to talk over this. The entire segment is Violet showing you every single viable and non-viable viewpoint you'll find in video games up to this particular point in time. And the whole point of this segment is this final sign-off.
Games designers should stop showing off and get a grip. It would be nice to actually spend more time playing the game and less time directing the cameras. And cut.
I think Violet wins the award for least useful segments in this episode, and that doesn't happen often. This week's prize is a PC with some game or other, because clearly they didn't want to give away Jaguar this week. They're not that cruel. Last week was a PlayStation with Tekken. Solid prizes all round, but who cares?
And this week we're looking at all the latest football games, including the stunning Striker 96. And we leave you with a clip.
Oh, well, it looks like I got the episodes the wrong way around. We've already done that one, so next week we'll be looking at something else, I guess. Who cares? In summary then, Bad Influence continues to try and reel in minor celebrities for reasons that are largely pointless. Violet Berlin provides us with the least useful advice on getting a video game published. And the internet is only boring if you don't call it the information superhighway. See you next time for another episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bad Influence, the gift that stopped giving about 10 episodes ago.
Welcome to a very, very special Bad Influence. Last week, the most awaited console ever was launched in Japan, the Nintendo Ultra 64.
Yes, that's right. The Super Ultra Nintendo Mega 64 is coming out, or at least in Japan, not over here. And Violet's gone to take a disappointed look at it. But more important than that...
We'll be looking at pets you can keep in cyberspace with my newest pal Harvey here.
Puppies! Yes, there are puppies on the set. Look at it. Look at the puppy. That's as much enjoyment as you're going to get out of today's episode. The main review is Vector Man, so that's how high the peaks are going to be.
Yep, they're cute. But the trouble with pets is they're so messy. They get hairs on the sofa and leave other things on the carpet.
She's just describing Andy, I think.
And here's the answer. Cyber pets. I've converted this monitor into an aquarium using some software called Aquazone.
Okay, right, we're here again. We're back doing virtual fish in a virtual fish tank. How many times is that across all the series now? 3? Did we even need to see it once?
Let's start with a new backdrop. How about Milky Way? Yep. That's nice. Now, every good aquarium has a galleon or a little tea chest or something in it, doesn't it? So let's find something to put in the aquarium. How about a statue?
You know, it's at times like this where I really can't see how they could have made Bad Influence worse. I mean, there can't be anything worse than this, right? Oh, fuck, we're doing this again, aren't we?
Oh, I think I've just corrupted my pants. Here they come, the 4 musketeers.
That Lisa's the fittest musketeer I've ever seen.
Please stop sexualizing the children.
Lisa nudges Matthew to take the lead.
Easy, Lisa, you can win this.
But she clips the wall.
What a name.
Look at the excitement in her face. Once again, none of these kids have played a racing game before. They have absolutely no idea how to apply brakes on corners. Here's a quick summary of the amount of shit driving going on in this 3-minute segment.
She's still fit though, Sim.
Fucking stop! Let's move on to Foggy and see what's coming out in the early 2000s. We've got the iToy, which makes it look like this kid is just waving at no one in particular.
It's called the Sony iToy. You plug it into your PS2 and it literally puts it inside the game.
Wow, it looks amazing. So how does it work?
Well, basically, it's a webcam. It takes your image, like a video image of you, puts it on the screen, and it tracks your movement, so it knows where you are, and you can interact with and touch all of the characters and objects on screen. You're literally inside the game.
I don't believe it. It looks so amazing. So which games will I be able to play with?
Okay, it comes with a disc, basically just full of mini games. So you've got Wishy-Washy, where you're just cleaning the inside of a TV screen.
Foggy, thank you, as always.
problem.
You've been a nugget of knowledge.
Oh, that's literally all that Foggy has to show us. Thanks, Foggy. You had an easy job this week. Let's check in with the two annoying sex pests and find out what they think of Wind Waker on the GameCube.
This is a new Zelda game. Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker.
Wind Maker? What have you got to do? Go around eating baked beans or something?
Waker, you wazzook. It's a magical instrument that lets you control the wind.
Like the ocarina in the N64 Zelda.
Exactly.
I hate these goddamn kids so much. Let's see if Andy's stopped banging on about fish yet.
So there's my beautiful aquarium. Oh, fish. Sorry. I have to make sure they're fed regularly and that the water is kept clean and at the right temperature. But if you get bored and you want to irritate them, you can use the mouse to knock on the tank. Ron! Hello, Ron! Ron!
I wouldn't want to be in that tank.
Who the fuck would want to be in the fish tank? We don't even want to look at the tank, let alone be in it. Jesus Christ.
That's the boys now, Sim.
Yeah, but you need to drive like a man to win this race.
Kurt has the all-wheel drive Nissan Skyline. Thomas Straws the hairy Dodge Viper. And Matthew the dead sexy Pagani Zonda.
3, 2, 1, go! It's a great start by Matthew. He takes the lead.
He takes the lead because he started in the lead, you absolute cretins. But once again, we're back on a racing game because apparently those were the only multiplayer games available in the early 2000s. They've learnt absolutely nothing from the previous race and bounce around the track like they've been hammering Skull. Skip to the end, this kid lost.
Great race. Gutted I lost it at the end. Can't believe it. When I first came to Land Jam, I thought I'd get all the way to the final. Gutted I didn't. I will be back and I will be the Land Jam Grandmaster.
No, you won't.
Yeah, normally fish go swimming off for a big scran-up. We'll come back and find out how they're getting on a bit later.
Please don't do that, Andy. Well, with fish out of the way, it's time to check out Vector Man, which is shite on the Mega Drive. Bare average at best. Any score higher than a 3 deserves righteous punishment.
This is an excellent platform shoot-'em-up.
Righteous punishment!
This is level 2, one of the water worlds. The basic aim of this game is to shoot everything. There are lots of monitors to shoot. These give you power-ups and bonuses. I've just collected a morph. This turns me into a bomb. This will help me blow through this entrance into a secret level. On each level, there are lots of bonuses and power-ups to collect. They give you all the usual stuff. Better weapons, more energy, and time bonuses. Brilliant. I've got the fish morph. This is the best one for this level.
What is it with this episode of Fish? Get a grip.
There's a good selection of weapons and levels, and the graphics should excite Mega Drive owners. It's really playable.
It's refreshing to see a character that's not based on a film, but the gameplay is still average.
Good lass.
The programmers have set out to make a good-looking platform shoot-'em-up, and they've done it quite well.
They've gone and done it, haven't they?
And the scores for Vector Man, the boys gave it a pretty good 4, the girls an average 3.
Bin it.
Good scores for Vector Man. Now, a history lesson. 3 years ago, when Bad Influence first started and Violet Berlin's hair looked like this, these were the consoles available to the happy gamer. The two 8-bit machines were the NES and the Master System. They ran rather flat, two-dimensional games like Super Mario Bros. On the NES and New Zealand Story on the Master System. More advanced consoles were the two 16-bit machines, the Mega Drive and the SNES. They had more colour and more depth in their games. Games like Sonic on the Mega Drive and one of my all-time favourites, Super Mario Kart on the SNES.
2 years ago, Violet's hairstyle looked like this.
Okay, hold up. Are we really going to be using Violet's hairstyles as a yardstick for what year it was? You couldn't predict what Violet's hair was going to be from episode to episode, let alone series to series.
And last year, the hairstyle looked like this. And the 3DO was joined by the Jaguar from pioneering games company Atari. These next-generation machines are much faster than the 16-bit consoles and are capable of producing great graphics like those found in Total Eclipse on the 3DO and Iron Soldier on the Jaguar.
Which brings us bang up to date. 1995 was the year the big boys came out to play, starting in June when Sega launched the Saturn with games like Daytona USA. Then in September came the Sony PlayStation with probably the best beat-em-up ever in the shape of Tekken. And now, to fill this gap, Nintendo will be launching the Ultra 64. The game was first shown publicly in Japan last week.
Was that really the only reason you've just gone through all those old systems? Not to say anything about them of worth, but just as a lead up to the segment with the N64. My God, they really are struggling to fill space, aren't they? Unfortunately this week, I know how they feel.
This is the Shushinkai show in Tokyo. It's the biggest games event of the year, and everyone's talking about just one thing, the Ultra 64.
Anyone feel like it's about time for some techno? I reckon it's about time for some techno.
I feel like I've gone to heaven. You wait years to see one Ultra 64, and then 100 all come along together. Well, quite simply, Nintendo are the biggest video games company in the world, and also the most successful. They've always made the best hardware.
It's a bold statement, Norman.
This was supposed to be the official launch, but there was still a lot of secrecy. When we asked nicely, they gave us permission to film. Well, sort of. I'm so excited. I've been waiting over a year to get my hands on this new console, and now I have. All I've got to do is work out how to play it. The controller has...
It's shit! It is not shit!
The images are detailed, smooth, and easily superior to anything currently available.
It's a bold statement, Norman.
Well, not bad for a first go. But, you know, it's really difficult to make a judgment about the Ultra 64. For a start, the games aren't finished yet. And secondly, it's just so different from anything I've ever played. Nintendo have placed a lot of faith in the new controller. They hope the design will encourage developers to invent entirely new ways of playing video games.
Nintendo hopes they will inspire developers in the same way they always hope they'll inspire developers, and never really do.
But, as we always say on Bad Influence, never mind the hardware, feel the gameplay. Unfortunately, all the other Ultra 64 games at the show were only on video.
This really is a sloppy-ass launch, isn't it?
Blast Dozer, a sort of construction robot dig-em-up.
Stop making up game genres.
The latest news is that the Ultra 64 should be available in this country in spring 1996.
Andy, can you just hold this puppy while talking about something completely unrelated? Thanks.
The 3D backgrounds can be viewed from a multitude of angles and are very realistic. And the detail on the figures is astonishing. Ellis and Toshinden even has translucent trousers. In fact, the characters are nearly perfect in every respect, except one. Can you spot it? If you look closely, you'll see that instead of hair, they have a clump of stuff on their head. It's shaped like hair, it's coloured like hair, but it doesn't really look or move like real hair.
Oh God, they're talking about hair. This may be the show's lowest point.
We've had enough fun with Violet's hair for today, so we're going to scan my head and use it as our model.
So you'll have to sit incredibly still and no talking, please, just for a change.
Hair.
This 3D scanner creates a wireframe model of Sonia's head. It's equipment used by computer and special effects companies to create 3D wireframe models. There's a laser in there that does the scanning. There's also a video camera which records the skin tone and colour of Sonia's head. And the finished results...
They're talking about hair.
It was so rubbish. Do 10 times better than
Oh,
you do.
check you! Well, you should see my steering. I'm so whack. Where's my... I'm so whack.
A professional gamer is someone who plays computer games and earns a living from playing them and winning as much as £100,000 of prize money. If you want to win competitions, you really have to be the best of the best. I practice 4 or 5 hours a day, every day. And then running up to the competition, you know, you have to put in more time, maybe 8, 9, 10 hours, just to make sure you're at your peak and you do your very best. I think pro gaming is quite a short-term career, from when you're about 12 and you can play these games well, to when you're about 18 and your reflexes start dropping off. You lose that edge and that speed, I think.
This guy has no idea what he's talking about.
What I want to know now is just how good Dane Bowers is in slipstick.
How you doing? I'm Dane Bowers. I've come to play a guy called Ben, Tiger Woods. I've heard he's big. I've heard he's like 6'10", but I'm going to take him out. If he's really young, I've been told not to make him cry.
I'm Ben, and I'm playing Dane Bowers at Tiger Woods Golf. I've heard that he says that he's the best, but how can he be when I am?
Ready, go!
Get your putter out. You've got to do better than that, Ben.
I reckon this kid will wake up one day in his 30s and wonder if that time he played Tiger Woods golf with Dane Bowers in some sort of undecorated, echoey pre-murder scene was actually just a fever dream or not.
I've got to say, Ben, well done. Did very well. I put my hands up. Did beat me. But the rematch.
I can't believe I actually beat Dane Bowers at an old man's game. I told you I was the best, and I really am.
It's the motherfucking Eagle Double G. Snoop Dogg!
The final game in the competition is not a racing game for once. It's Sega's knockoff version of Mario Strikers, and basically this kid won.
My opponents were quite good, but weren't good enough for me, was they?
Oh, Thomas just couldn't beat Matt's keeper. But here's Matt, our Land Jam Grandmaster. Yay! Congratulations, how you feeling?
I'm great, Leah, thanks.
See, I thought the kids on Bad Influence were incredibly annoying, but apparently children just got worse as time went on. Land Jam is a fantastic reminder that Bad Influence was actually not that bad at all.
Some software called, and I kid you not, Comp Your Hair, which is what I'm going to use to design Sonia's new hairstyle.
Apart from when they're still talking about hair. Well, that was needlessly terrifying. Here's a review of Attack of the Mutant Penguins on the Jaguar, a terrible looking game on a system that doesn't seem to be getting anything but a handful of shite these days. Or ever.
The idea sounded very original, and I was looking forward to playing it. Unfortunately, it was too frustrating to play and impossible to get to grips with.
Wanna? Do we finally have a wanna on our hands?
You've got to be in exactly the right place on the screen to open chests and use machines, which makes the game really frustrating. The gameplay is repetitive. Catch the gremlins, feed the machines, all the while trying to find your weapons. It seems like they're trying to recreate the atmosphere of Lemmings, but they haven't come close to succeeding. From the moment you pick it up to the moment you throw it in the bin, you'll hate it.
Yep, it's a wanna. Surely, so long as the girls don't ruin it.
What a waste of time. Take away the cute graphics, and this game has got nothing going for it.
Oh, it's on. What a disappointment. This one missed the mark.
And the scores for Attack of the Mutant Penguins.
Well, that was the most exciting thing that's happened this episode. Zoop is next, a game with a bizarre advertising campaign, because how do you even explain it?
There are several different power-ups you can collect. One of them's a spring, which I've just collected. You collect 5 of these and you clear the board. Also, there's colour bombs. When you collect a colour bomb, which I just have done, the next colour that you shoot, it clears all those in the same square. Part of the gameplay is to change the colour of the triangle. And you do this by shooting a shape of a different colour to the triangle already.
Well, not like this. She's made it sound needlessly complicated.
It's one of those games that you'll find frustrating, but you'll just keep coming back for more.
Just like your mum.
This is a really fast game which needs fast reactions. It's wonderful and extremely addictive.
Just like your mum.
And the scores for Zoop, proving that the gameplay is more important than the graphics, are 4 from both the boys and the girls.
4 out of 5 across the board, just like your mum.
Sonia would like this week's competition prize. It's this puppy. We'll send it to you in a padded envelope. No, I'm only joking. It's actually a Mega Drive with a copy of Vector Man.
Vector Man? More like Shill Man. No one wants that shit. Give us the dog. Last week they gave away a PlayStation and a football. Hooray. Anyway, that's the end of all that bollocks. Truly the worst episode of the series so far. So, in summary then, filling a studio with puppies doesn't mean you can forego actual content. Violet Berlin might have finally gotten her hands on an N64, but there wasn't actually a great deal to do on it. And Land Jam still proves as the perfect counterpoint to show even when Bad Influence is at its worst, it could have sunk so much lower.
I'm so whack.
See you next time for another episode of Virtual Fish Tank. Hello, yes, it's time. Time for another episode of Why Will This Not End? But never mind, at least the gladiators are here to spice things up. We have Rhino and Bobo.
Hello from a gladiatorial Bad Influence. Our star guests Rhino and Bobo will be trying out some of the hottest arcade conversions.
Bobo?
Rhino and Bobo, Rhino and Bobo.
Rhino and Bobo.
We've got a great build yourself a world kit. For the PC, I think I'd be better off in there.
Rhino was not a wise move, Andy.
I can already tell I'm too hungover for the energy on offer in this episode. Everyone needs to calm down before I vomit. This week, the main review is Earthworm Jim 2, which will no doubt get 5 out of 5 because Dave Perry is basically in their pockets at this point, and Violet does a helicopter thing. Whatever.
I'm not playing these rough games anymore.
Andy Crane is one step away from Betty the cat did a whoopsie on the carpet.
Good games for the Saturn have been a bit thin on the ground.
So, what else is new?
But with Christmas just around the corner, there are 3 coin-op conversions coming out, and this is the first of them, Virtua Cop. The arcade version was a smash hit with its fantastic graphics and slick gameplay. So when the programmers started work on the Saturn version, they tried to copy the original as accurately as possible. They spent months trying to cram in all the sprites and features of the arcade version, and the end result is an almost identical game.
That was so many words just to say it's a port of an arcade game.
Vogue's been blasting her way through it for us. You like this, don't you?
Oh, I've got used to this one now. It's pretty cool.
Can I just say, this is cheating. Get out the tape measure. That's like 4 centimetres at most. I know it's a small TV, but come on, Bobo, play fair.
How do you reload your gun?
You have to reload it outside of the screen, which is something you have to get used to. It's a bit inconvenient at first, but you actually do get quite used to doing that.
Yes, it's very inconvenient to move the gun 4 inches to the left. What a hardship.
It's quite off-putting with 2 people because you never know who's actually shot anybody, so I prefer playing on my own.
How the hell would you even fit 2 people around the screen if you stood that close to it? Especially with Rhino being the size of a... what's an appropriate animal to compare him to? Really big badger. What the fuck was that reaction?
What are you laughing at?
Racers take to muddy forest roads and cross-country courses with a choice of 2 different cars. They both handle well, but players must master both vehicles to take the championship. What sets it apart from any other racing game is the speed at which the backgrounds move and the detail of the courses.
That's doing the game a bit of an injustice. I don't think it'd be quite so enduring if the only thing that made it stand apart was the speed of the backgrounds moving. Someone write in and complain, I'm too tired.
So how you doing, Ryan?
Well, I'm just getting into it now. Sega Rally's brilliant, out of this world.
Why does he sound like a Haribo advert? His voice does not match his body in the slightest.
So how you doing, Ryan?
Well, I'm just getting into it now. Sega Rally's brilliant, out of this world.
Don't tell him I said that, he'll snap me in 2.
So you find it easy to get a grip on them, this game?
Oh, I'm getting there. Need a bit more practice, though.
The last game in this collection is this one, Virtua Fighter 2. The new beat-em-up is a massive advance over the first Virtua Fighter with new characters and new special moves. But the biggest improvement is in the graphics. The characters and backgrounds are now incredibly detailed. Some of the fighters even have moving fingers.
A very important addition to all fighting games.
For the first time in Gladiator history, a mixed match. Vogue versus Rhino on Virtua Fighter 2. Vogue's playing Jeffrey. Oh no, Vogue's playing Jackie. And Rhino's playing Jeffrey.
Listen to that professionalism.
You're quite good at this, Rhino. Do you play him a lot?
Oh yeah, I like Jeffrey.
One of the funniest game releases of last year was Earthworm Jim. Each level was full of zany antics and quirky challenges.
Zany. Quirky. You've already put me off, and I like the game.
I couldn't see how they could improve on Earthworm Jim, but somehow they have. This is even better than the first game.
You know what, I can't even remember if he's right or not, but I'm just going to assume he is at this point.
Here, Jim's disguised as a blind salamander for the obligatory swimming level, but it's got a twist in that there's a game show you have to compete in when you get to the end. The questions are really weird, but it doesn't matter what answer you give because it sends you through to the next level anyway. On this level, you've got a different viewpoint, and as well as avoiding the flying pigs and the cannonballs the ships fire at you, your task is to push that bomb attached to the balloon to the end of the level.
This entire review has just reminded me that Earthworm Jim is ridiculously hard.
Earthworm Jim 2 is one of the zaniest games of '95.
No to zany.
It's an essential purchase for Christmas.
It's mind-blowingly funny.
Mind-blowingly funny.
It kept me in stitches. It's the best sequel I've ever seen.
The best sequel I've ever seen. These are 2 sentences that could only come from a smiley lass and someone who works on a show that loves Dave Perry.
I'm not usually a fan of platform games, but this is excellent. It's very imaginative.
Adam seems more depressed the less angry he is. I think his fuse has completely left him at this point.
And the scores for Earthworm Jim 2. It's a strong contender for the Christmas #1 with 5s all round.
5 out of 5 all round. Who knew?
Like the outfit? Pretty cool, huh?
Okay, stop. Shut up, Violet. You are standing far too close to the edge not to either comically fall in or get shoved in by this guy. You can't fool me.
I've been lent it by leading air crewman Rob McKee, who's also asked me to take part in a naval training exercise. Thanks, Rob.
That's okay.
Ah, no!
Maybe don't aim for the tits next time, Rob. Anyway, Violet gets rescued by a helicopter man while copyrighted music plays, so I can't show you any of that, but it's fine because it's boring. All of this is leading us to Violet pissing about in a flight simulator.
You need a multi-million-pound con trick, a Sea King helicopter flight simulator.
So, Steve, how realistic is it?
It's very realistic.
Thank you for being a friend. The legs make the cockpit move as the helicopter turns and banks.
This is some very weird pillow talk, but I'm into it.
The graphic landscapes are real places.
It's not real, Violet. It's a video game. Get a grip.
This is the coast of Cornwall, and I was picked up by the real helicopter in the training exercise right out there.
Someone get Violet her pills.
Now, if you were to do some more spectacular manoeuvres, the computer wouldn't be able to keep up, would it? It would be all jerky, all the graphics.
Watch this, it can.
Wow!
I'm sure that wow from Violet was genuine because it probably actually feels pretty cool when you're in there, but not quite as exciting for us, the viewers. Do a barrel roll, then I'll be excited.
I feel sick.
You and me both.
Now it's my turn. Here's my mission. This has got to be the most expensive video game I've ever played.
Now that's the oil platform I'm supposed to land on.
That's it, just the left-hand side, see the two masts, you want to go to the left-hand mast. We're going a little bit fast, so just pull back with your right hand, very gently.
Yeah, okay.
A little bit left.
Up.
Okay, let's just turn down the lights and put some sexy music over this and it becomes an entirely different scene.
Okay, a little bit fast, so just pull back with your right hand, very gently.
Yeah, okay. Up.
That's enough.
Now it's my turn.
News and previews time. Lone Soldier for the PS1 is coming out. No one has heard of this and no one cares about it. Look at it. It looks horrible. Zed Wolf 2 is coming out. It looks exactly the same as the first one. Or maybe I've only seen the second one and they keep bringing it up. I don't know, and I don't care. Pro Pinball is coming soon with a massive one table. I'll keep you busy for 20 minutes. Super Skid Marks is our next review, and this better get 5 out of 5 or I'll shit.
This is a cross between Micro Machines and Off-Road Racer, and I love both those games, but somehow it's not quite as good.
Smiley Lass, you fucked up!
You can choose to play on your own against the computer cars or against 3 friends in a 4-way split screen, but it's really difficult to see what's going on.
That's why it's so good!
A great tactic is to bash into cars and knock them out of the way. It takes a while to master the handling of the car. You have to skid round the track rather than drive.
That's why it's called Super Skid Marks!
Even with the addition of amusing vehicles like the cows, there's still nothing special about the gameplay.
You're in my bad books after this one, Smiler.
Even though the graphics are very basic, it's still a real laugh, especially in multiplayer mode.
So hail, so hail, so hail, redemption. So
I found this game really annoying.
Who the fuck are you and what have you done to my beloved score?
And the scores for Super Skid Marks, an average 3 from the boys, a hard-to-control 2 from the girls.
This has been the worst thing to happen in British history.
Warhawk.
Warhawk is next. I don't care about Warhawk. Give it whatever score you want.
8.
Depressed Adam's back.
This is a new style of game for the PlayStation, and it's fast and full of action. The objectives of the game are to kill virtually everything in sight and collect a preset number of canisters of red mercury, which you'll find at the end of each level. You get a range of weapons to attack the enemy with, such as rockets, swarmers, and plasma cannons. But those enemies in the air are much harder to hit than those on the ground.
It's only fun when he's frothing at the bit.
This is a good shoot-'em-up, but it is hard and could get very frustrating.
This is a fairly exciting game with some great explosions.
I don't trust a goddamn word you say.
The missions are a challenge and there's loads to shoot at, but the gameplay is very average.
These reviews are all over the shop. 3s all round?
And the scores for Warhawk, well, because of the very samey gameplay, it's only 3s.
I'm an expert. Also, I don't care. Let's have the gladiators back. They've not done much yet.
I think it's safe. All these scenes were computer-generated, of course, but interestingly not on a supercomputer, on an ordinary PC like this, using a really inexpensive bit of software called Simply 3D. It comes with 2 CDs packed full of pre-designed scenes like this one, but you can customise and alter them really easily. For example, if I wanted to move the street lamp a little bit nearer the end of the balcony so I can have some light to work by, dead easy. In the bottom left-hand corner are all the objects that are in this scene. Look, there's the benches and all the other bits and pieces. Down at the bottom here is the street lamp. So I click on the street lamp. What the computer has done there is turn the picture into a wireframe model. That's because it's easier for it to do the necessary calculations when you move things if the picture is in a wireframe version.
I'm not going to make you suffer through all of this, but this is the first time they presented one of these boring sections in a relatively non-boring way. I would say it's a shame we're at the end of the last series, but it's really not. It's really, really not.
I think you'll be safe now, Andy. With Christmas coming, it might be easier to persuade your parents to buy you a computer than a console.
Yeah, if your parents are oil tycoons, it's time for Violet to give us a rundown on the pros and cons of PCs and consoles.
In the battle of the formats, the PC seems to be striking the most blows at the moment. Despite the new consoles, top forthcoming games, like Heart of Darkness, do seem to be getting a lot of attention. And of course, if you need to be really hip, you've got to get yourself connected to the net. And you need a computer for that, don't you? Well, actually, the consoles are punching back. There's already some kit that allows CDI owners to hook up to the net straight from their joypads. Soon, the Saturn's going online, and the PlayStation will certainly follow suit.
Yes, the Saturn and the PlayStation Online were very big and definitely useful.
But as well as a keyboard, won't you need something like a hard disk to store all the stuff you've downloaded? And a mouse will be handy. The fact is that the souped-up super consoles of tomorrow will end up looking more like multimedia PCs.
That was actually pretty prophetic, but she actually said nothing about PCs in this segment that was supposed to be about the pros and cons of PCs and consoles. Useless.
In the battle of the formats, we could be heading for a split decision. Sorry.
Basically, PC won. The ref was bent. This week's prize is absolutely bananas. A Sega Saturn with 46 games. Presumably the Saturn is on fire sale at this point and they've been able to pick it all up from a car boot sale at half a ton. Last week was a Mega Drive with 1 average game. I always wonder if the winners look at the other weeks and curse their own good luck.
Join us next week for our Christmas special when we're looking at all the juicy stuff you might get in your stocking on Christmas morning.
We're going to change into our gladiator costumes now, aren't we? Oh, yes. For the Eliminator, I'm going to be Hippo and Sonia's going to be Vague. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.
To finish us off, we have a low-resolution gladiator segment. Very exciting. So, in summary then, if you're Dave Perry, you can guarantee your games will always get a pass on Bad Influence. Violet Berlin is absolute filth. And as the show enters its dying last days, you can always be sure your favourite celebrities will turn up. Like Rob and Bobo. See you next time for the penultimate episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Thank fucking God. Hello and welcome back to the penultimate episode of everyone's least favourite series of their 5th favourite 90s show about video games. It's Christmas time in March, folks. Get ready for the festivities.
Hello from the Bad Influence Christmas special. You might like to have a pen and paper ready because later on this afternoon we'll run down the best places to buy your Christmas goodies. Obviously, we've gone to a lot of trouble to make the studio look as Christmassy as possible.
Yes, as Christmassy as possible by stringing some tinsel across a pylon. Truly, Jesus has never been prouder. Other than that, this week they'll be looking at the equally Christmassy Extreme Games on the PlayStation, and Violet is back bothering Japanese people again.
But first, 'tis nearly the season to be jolly, and that means Christmas cards. This year, though, instead of sending, mind yourself, Bob, sending the standard boring ones.
Don't bother doing a second take, just fluff your way through that sentence. It's fine, no one's watching by this point.
I'm going to send ones I've designed on a new bit of software called Card Studio. It comes with some finished examples to get you going, from funny cards like this one, to more serious ones like this. The best thing about designing your own cards, though, is the chance to be original. This is the card I've nearly finished.
Watching Andy fumble around with computers is always fun, but Sonia is getting involved this week by creating an e-card, which literally nobody has appreciated receiving.
The lucky person who gets the card has to complete a simple task to get their Christmas message. In this one, you have to successfully match hidden pairs. In this one, you have to clean windows. Now, I'm just finishing off a card for Andy by adding a voice message. I'm going to record that right now.
You fucking wanker.
Anyway, it's time to check out Extreme Games on the PlayStation, a game I'm sure you either forgot exists or never knew existed in the first place.
Don't be fooled into thinking this is just slick graphics. It's definitely got the gameplay to back it up. Overall, this is a really fast-moving game, and there's no glitches at all.
There's no glitches at all. You'd hope that was a bare minimum, right?
There are secret tunnels hidden away on the edge of tracks, and they're quite difficult to get into. But once you are in them, they offer you shortcuts to the end of the level so you can catch up valuable places. And also, there's extra gates for you to go through to get extra money and extra season points. You can forget about Road Rash and Skitching.
Oh, so Heil.
Here you've got the best of both worlds, and it's done 100 times better.
Oh no, you've broken the streak!
This is excellent. I love the choice of racing equipment and that you can bash people off the track.
Alright, psychopath, calm down.
It's a good Road Rash clone with lots of detail, but it's just too slow.
Just like
And the scores for Extreme Games, both the boys and the girls agree. It's a road racing, bike bashing, gate grabbing 4.
Well, there you have it. Better than Road Rash. Extreme Games on the PS1. Just lovely stuff.
So, a good score there for Extreme Games. And in America, you can get an unusual skateboard controller for the game that goes faster when you press forward, slower when you press back, and even jumps when you stamp on it.
Believe me, it's harder to use than it looks. Time now for our globe-trotting reporter, who this week is in Tokyo finding out how Japanese gamers spend their day off. Oh, I'm sorry. Bob, I've told you before, no reindeer behind the video screen.
We all know that in Japan, everyone works hard all the time.
Nice bit of casual racism to start the segment off. Also, during this introduction, she just walks around in a circle like a confused chicken for some reason. Regardless, Violet's here at a cosplay festival where people dress up as their favourite video game heroes, such as Jared Leto, Tony the Tiger, and Japanese Dracula.
I've met up with Seiko, who's promised to explain what's happening.
It's a cosplay competition, Violet. I don't think it's going to be too hard to follow.
So we have to have what we had before. What's that? But believe it or not, this is currently the most popular arcade machine in Japan. I like Punch. I quite like the punching one. It's not a game. It's a photo booth that lets you choose a pretty frame for your picture.
1, 2, 3.
The photos are then printed out as a sheet of stickers. Excellent. Why are they so popular?
You know, people like stickers, and you can put on the name card and anything.
Wow, good explanation there. Why is this popular? People like it. All right, great, good. Great insight into the people of Japan who, as we all know, are hardworking all the time.
Meanwhile, back on stage, our Japanese Keith Chegwin was announcing the next event. I didn't quite catch that. Good, my Japanese is improving. That translates as charity auction.
Charity auction is the only Japanese sentence Violet learned because they said it in English. It's a good job these hard-working, all-the-time Japanese people are putting all the effort in, just like the Japanese would do, all the time.
The producer wanted me to bid for one of the posters, but not to spend more than 2,000 yen, which is about £13.
£13? That's where the budget of Bad Influence has gotten. They stowed Violet away in the cargo bay of a plane with £20 in her pocket and asked her to buy some Japanese merch, which will probably flog when she gets back to pay for the final episode.
And I bid 3,000 yen for 2 green crocodiles. I better get some money now. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Keith.
The conclusion to this segment was literally, Violet bought 2 crocodiles. I'm not sure it was worth sending her to Japan, I've got to be honest. But enough about the consistently hardworking Japanese cosplayers. It's time for quite possibly the most Andy Crane moment that has ever happened in the entire history of Earth. I hope you're prepared for this. You just have to wait for it. It's coming. Oh Lord, it's a-coming.
Violet did accidentally end up bidding for Martial Law from Tekken after all, and gave it to me as a Christmas present.
Look at you.
What did you get?
Oh, well, no, I'm better than that. I got this brilliant CD with all the music from Tekken 2, you see. Now, obviously, I don't know what all the tracks are, because most of them are in Japanese, but there's definitely Martial Law, and there's King as well. But this is my favourite. This is the most excellent Fighter Select. Fantastic, eh?
Yeah. Now it's time for this week's news and previews.
News and previews time. Super Mario RPG is definitely coming to the UK. Don't worry about it. It'll definitely arrive next summer. We promise. Nintendo doesn't hate Europe. It's fine. Chill out. Transport Tycoon Deluxe, best game ever made, is now arriving, and Actua Golf on the PlayStation continues to just be another golf game. Next up on the review roster, it's that other Cool Spot game, the one no one actually remembers.
This is a major improvement on the first one. It's been updated to make it more exciting, and the further you get into the game, the better it becomes.
Lies.
This is the Haunted House level, presumably based on Ghostbusters.
Presumably based on Ghostbusters? What, the film that didn't feature a traditional haunted house? At all? Okay, you do you.
There's a variety of levels, so there's something for everyone. This is the Indiana Jones level, which is very different from the other levels. You collect as many things as you can, and there are no bad guys to kill, which makes it a refreshing change.
Sounds fucking boring.
This is a cool game.
So many wrong words out of this one.
It may have a novel viewpoint for a platform game, but apart from that, there's nothing new at all.
He's fucking back on form, lads.
For the first 5 minutes, this is quite a good game, but the gameplay is repetitive and it soon bored me.
Yes, eat that.
Bot Goes to Hollywood, not a blockbuster, I'm afraid. Average 3s all round.
Should have been 2s, but we'll let that one slide. What's next?
Victory Boxing is a new boxing beat-em-up for the Saturn.
I get the feeling the kids will love this just because it's 3D. I'm second-guessing that we're going to hear a lot of talk about how realistic or atmospheric or lifelike it is, and whenever that happens, I'm going to settle myself in with a nice klaxon noise just to satisfy how correct I am.
Initially, this game seemed slow and boring, but after getting a few wins under my belt, I became a total addict. You've only got the basic moves at first. More powerful punching combinations like these only become available as you win more fights. After persevering with the first few fights, I really enjoyed it. It's the most realistic boxing game I've ever played.
All the elements of this game are very atmospheric. The only problem is it's a little slow.
And the scores for Victory Boxing, a heavyweight 4 from the boys, but a middleweight 3 from the girls.
Yeah, whatever.
TV presenters don't come more polished than the one you're looking at now. I didn't write that bit, but if TV bigwigs get their way, human presenters could soon become a thing of the past. It's no secret that computer graphics have taken over the film world, but it's one thing generating a Jurassic dinosaur.
There's a flashback for you.
The most human-looking computer-generated character so far was probably the entirely inhuman T-1000 from the movie Terminator 2. Actor Robert Patrick had to suffer for his art. He had a grid felt tipped on his body.
It's clobbering time.
Film graphics like those require very expensive, very powerful supercomputers, but now there's a system available that lets you animate characters in real time.
I feel like they've scanned someone's face into a computer roughly twice per episode since Bad Influence started. There must be so many 3D renders of Andy Crane and Sonia Sol's face on old hard drives out in the wild somewhere.
Oh, yes, indeedy. These are reflective spots that can be detected by the headset. And as I move my eyes or my mouth, the movements are recorded into the computers. Now, we're going to need to bring the lights down so you can actually see the screen properly. Now, if you look in the screen, you can see the points, as I said, marked up by the reflective spots on my face. And as I'm moving, so are they. So, for instance, that point there is my chin.
Sonia, we can literally see nothing, you mad woman. Back over with Virtual Violet, it's her top 10 games of 1995. Let's just bear in mind that across the globe, this was the year of Chrono Trigger, Yoshi's Island, Earthbound, Panzer Dragoon, Donkey Kong Country 2, Wipeout, Virtua Fighter 2, Twisted Metal, Virtua Cop, amongst many, many others that I can't be asked reading from the Wikipedia page I've found. Let's see what Violet's picked, shall we?
At number 10 in my personal chart, it's Rapid Reload on the PlayStation.
Never heard of it, but it looks pretty much identical to Gunstar Heroes, so it's probably fine. Next.
Grinning away at number 9, it's Kid Clown in Crazy Chase.
No, wrong opinion.
Number 8 fueled my passion for bikes and brain teasers.
Okay, fine, you can have that one.
It looks dull, and if you play it, you'll become dull. Get out your tennis rackets and your virtual picks and strum along to my number 6.
Oh, good God, no. Dear Christ, shit, no.
At number 5, Uni Rally on the SNES.
Yes to all of that.
Those gormless green-haired rodents get a look in at number 4.
Oh, Jesus, fuck Christ, Billy Bollocks, no, never.
And now, the top 3. At number 3, the most fun I've ever had wandering around a bizarre land with an army of talking animals, Soleil.
I mean, fine, but also no.
Taking over the world at number 2, Command and Conquer on PC/CD.
Yes, obviously.
It's Yoshi's Island on the SNES.
Okay, I'm fine with that. At the very least, she didn't go with obvious picks, though perhaps some of those picks should have been slightly more obvious instead of, you know, this. The final segment of the show is dedicated to telling children how much they should beg their parents for the cheapest console package. And at the very least, they do also suggest the cheaper SNES and Mega Drive options, which, let's be honest, at this stage in the 3D life cycle, you'd be better off with. Good work, Bad Influence. Good, hard work. Just like every Japanese person.
For more Christmas console bargains, check out the Bad Influence Worldwide website. The address comes up at the end of the programme. Now, we've no competition this week because it's the last show before Christmas, but last week's competition was for a Saturn and 46 games. Some now, some next year when they're released. The competition question, how many moons orbit the planet Saturn? The answer is 17, and if this is your name on the screen now, congratulations, you're a Bad Influence winner.
Right, that's it. That's your lot. So, in summary then, sending Violet off to distant countries in order to cover a machine that prints photo stickers probably wasn't the wisest business decision. Realism is very important in video games. And see you next time for the final ever episode of Breaking Bad Influence. Hello and welcome back for the final time to Breaking Bad Influence, the show that died a series ago but limps along to the last second.
Hello and Happy New Year from a very special Bad Influence. Not yet, Sean.
This week we've got an action-packed episode of a load of things you've already seen multiple times over. Consider it a best-of episode if the best was just a collection of things they decided to do again. But most importantly, they've allowed Violet back into the studio.
We'll be revealing the worst games on all systems later.
Our star guests, the Shaman, will be explaining how they use the best music computer ever.
What is happening over here?
And we'll have our normal games reviews, but this week with some special celebrity reviewers.
Yes, celebrity reviewers. At first I thought, I've no idea who they are, but the Australian accent means they must be from Neighbours. And then I remembered Bad Influence was on ITV and Neighbours was on BBC, so I looked further into it, and long story short, this is how I remembered Home and Away existed.
Home and Away. Shannon's moved it netball and I had to be back at work. We didn't know what was going on.
No, much later.
This is the second time they've referenced a juggling man, leading me to believe there's going to be an exciting carnival-style finale for the show. The show about video games? I mean, what else could they be referencing juggling for? Surely it's a carnival.
If you were lucky enough to get a PC for Christmas, we present the Bad Influence Guide to the best things to do with it. First, here's Violet with the best art package we've ever seen.
It's called Art Dabbler and it's been designed for artists rather than techies. So instead of getting a clumsy mouse, you get a pad and a pen, and the screen's been laid out like a painting table. You can create paintings in all kinds of styles, from pastel still lifes like this to pointless pictures like this one.
Don't put yourself down, Violet. I don't think that picture's pointless at all. Yes, we're back watching Violet draw something digitally. This now being roughly the 7th time we've seen this across 4 series. I'm excited to watch it all over again.
So I should be able to, and that's a bit too bumpy. What I can do is actually flip my pen up the other way and just rub it out with the rubber at the other side. Select pen again. That should do it.
Violet's concern that a hill might be a little too bumpy leads me to believe she's never actually seen a hill. But also, she just draws it back in almost exactly the same way, extending the show's runtime by exactly the amount required. Good work.
Now, don't go away. This may look rubbish at the moment.
Oh good, I was just about to leave, but she's got something up her sleeve apparently. Also, can I just point out that the background noise for Bad Influence hasn't changed in 4 series?
But a bit later on, all will be revealed. It's going to look great by the end.
Just shoot out of the left of the viewfinder. Right, that's the computer busy.
Wow, that looks like fun. SIGGRAPH stands for the Association for Computing Machinery's Special Interest Group on Computer Graphics and Interactive Techniques. No wonder they called it SIGGRAPH for short. It's held in a different location every year.
Then when you've done that, rewind it and play it back. But don't play it back at full speed, using your pause.
I've heard this repeating Mario coin noise approximately 450,000 times.
Excellent. Now,
I'm nearly finished. You can see I've obscured this fence and I'm going to put the fence in. So back to my normal paint, choosing a nice brown. What I want to do here is try and get the texture of wood, so I'm just scrawling. But once I apply the water, you'll see that it'll look like quite a rickety wooden fence.
Put your bets in now. Will this, or will this not, end up looking like a rickety wooden fence?
A little bit of water works wonders. Voila.
Yep, that looks like a fence. Bravo. We're back to virtual guitar again, a peripheral I've literally never seen in my life outside the 2 or 3 episodes that Bad Influence decided to dedicate to it. But this time, we've got an exciting new peripheral to use instead of a big plastic guitar.
And it's for budding rock stars or jazz musos.
For jazz musos, he boldly claims. I'm going to have to disagree with you there.
Every time the pick hits the tennis racket, it sends a signal to the computer which plays the right notes, which is kind of useful because I have no musical ability at all. All I have to do is keep in rhythm with the band. And I do that by hitting the chords every time this red line passes over a green peak. Of course, if I get it wrong, which I do quite often, the band get ever so upset.
Man, you're putting in too many notes.
Spoken like a true jazz muso.
It really is great fun, and because it's a virtual pick, you can play it anywhere. On your leg, play it on Violet's ear, look. Oh, Violence and Mayhem. That reminds me. Here's Sonia with the best gore game for the PC.
What a segue. Can't wait to see all the gore on this children's TV show.
Up to 4 PCs can be linked together to play Doom as a deathmatch. Now, each player has their own colour, and you can see Victoria's grey character in Mr. C's screen just there, and Mr. C's green character in Victoria's screen. And the aim of the game is simply to kill your opponent more times than they can kill you. So grab that shotgun and go.
Somebody please think of the children!
And finally, here's Violet with the worst ever CD-ROM for the PC.
It's called Karaoke Shakespeare, and it was a feeble attempt to bring interactive theatre to the home.
Hold on a moment. This has definitely happened before.
Now, I'm going to have a go at being the second witch in the famous witch scene from Macbeth. Here goes.
When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done.
This has definitely happened before.
I've chosen to be the second witch in the opening scene. Now, I'm going to have a go at being the second witch in the famous witch scene from Macbeth.
When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain? When shall we 3 meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
When the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, when the hurly-burly's done. Come on. When the battle's lost and won. Hang on a minute, I've finished my lines, and look, that's not how it's spelled in my version of Shakespeare. Look, there's a spelling mistake. It should be W-O-N, not O-N-E. To add insult to injury, the actors sound like they've been to the Nam Rood School of Acting. And it sounds like the programmers recorded the voices themselves and recorded it in a toilet, come to that.
Christ, they were really struggling at this point, weren't they?
No, later.
Right, the reference to circus again. Get yourself geared up. Clearly there's an enormous circus/carnival finish for this episode. Anyway, it's time for our first review, and with it, our first celebrity guests. 2 people from a soap opera. Again, are they going to be better than the review kids, though? Well, their first game is Yoshi's Island, so as long as they just say, it's really good, they can't go too far wrong.
It's been 2 years since the last Mario game, but it's definitely worth the wait, ain't it, Glenn?
I think so.
Okay. I don't like that. They're clearly collaborating. This is going to skew the male and female divide in the scoring system. They're working together. It's celebrity corruption. Ban them both.
Yoshi has to make his way through 6 worlds with Mario on his back. Each world has 8 areas.
You'll find a host of coins and other items, and if you find them all, you get to enter the bonus area.
That sentence makes it sound like you have to collect every single coin, which is not true. It's not an Amiga platformer, for Christ's sake.
He has a big tongue which he can whip out and swallow.
Somebody please
There are some really cool power-ups which allow Yoshi to change from a dinosaur into a tank.
That's a fucking helicopter, mate. Before we continue, can I just say that it's incredibly rude to allow this celebrity to take up the big square where the game should be? They never allowed any of the kids to go in the big square. It's celebrity corruption. Ban them both.
This game is a real corker, right? And it proves that 16-bit systems are still alive and kicking.
This game's got it all. Fantastic graphics and great gameplay.
And the celebrity scores for Yoshi's Island, both Nicola and John gave it a resounding 5.
I am shocked. Shocked.
And Yoshi's Island should be out by the end of the month. Actually, 1996 promises to be an exciting year for video games. PC owners will be salivating at the prospect of the stunning HMS Carnage.
In typical Bad Influence fashion, you get ready to gear up a video reel of the most exciting games of 1996. And the first thing you show is a game literally no one has ever heard of. And the reason you've never heard of it is because, well, it was cancelled. I know Bad Influence weren't psychic, they couldn't possibly have known this would happen, but to see it here front and centre is just delicious. The rest of the games in this list are a mix of, yeah, okay, and the beautifully obvious. And for that we can only say, well done, good job, you did it.
So, something to look forward to? Not yet.
There it is again. I'm excited. Are you excited? It's going to be so extravagant. The whole budget went on this carnival finale. That's my bet. Blow the whole lot on elephants and lions and clowns falling out of tiny cars.
Not yet, but soon. This is an Atari ST, one of the first 16-bit computers. As we're doing the best and worst this week, we thought we might do the best and worst uses of an Atari ST.
That's a rather niche list for a final episode, but go for it.
The worst use certainly has to be as a home games machine. There are very few good games for it.
Ouch. Take that, ST owners.
The best use of it, though, is as a music computer because it has a special musical interface called MIDI built in. The Shaman are well known for using computers in their music. Victoria's here.
So basically, the only reason they're talking about the ST is because they've got the Shaman on. ST owners all over the country in the mid-90s are fuming right now.
We've got a couple of samplers, and one of the things that's really good about a sampler is that...
Oh, that's your voice.
That's my voice, but if we go into the program...
No way, no way. Mana, mana.
Previously, it was changing 16 beats per measure, which doesn't necessarily sound very good for our purposes.
No, put it back the way it was.
Yes,
like
okay, all right, Andy.
Without Andy Crane, the Shaman would be nothing.
Show me the bit where you have that little keyboard and you can move all the notes around, because that's really interesting.
Okay.
He's like an enthusiastic dad who just found out you can attach a funny image to an email and send it to your brother who emigrated to Australia. It doesn't matter that he hasn't spoken to him in 12 years, he can now send him memes with no context. That is Andy Crane's entire persona throughout Series 4 of Bad Influence.
Earlier on, one of the problems with technologically produced music, as the Shaman like to call it, is the fact that it sounded so perfect that it didn't sound human.
Yeah.
With some of the newer, more advanced programs, and just like I just showed you there, you can just fine-tune it ever so slightly so it doesn't sound so perfect.
Well, your single is great, the new single, and if you want to check that out, join us at the end of the programme because the Shaman are playing us out. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you, Andy.
Just to rile up the ST owners a bit more, fixing Atari ST keyboard with PVA glue. Has to go up there as some of the best trolling the show has ever committed to. Next up, we have a rundown of the year, which goes as follows. January, the Virtual Boy is stupid. February, video games are discussed in Parliament and deemed to be overpriced. We'll see if that changes anything. March, the Sega Saturn is shown to the UK public.
Of course, we had it on Bad Influence 4 months earlier.
Yes, okay, Sonia. April.
Nothing at all happens in April. Zippo, zilch, zero.
May, fake trailers for fake games for the fake 3DO are taken at face value.
In June, The Darkening, the newest and most expensive sci-fi game ever, begins filming at Pinewood Studios in England.
July, big news for China, always at the forefront of technology, the SNES just launched. August, Doom is banned from various workplaces due to inviolate words.
Cyberskyber.
A term never used again. September, Bad Influence Series 4 started. Shame. October, Killer Instinct is cancelled for the N64. November, the N64 doesn't exist yet. December, Virtua Cop does exist. What an incredible year that was.
Sean, now!
Aha! Finally, it's time for the big finale, the moment we've all been waiting for.
So what's
juggling got to do with computers? Well, this is Juggling Master, one of many programs available to help professional jugglers like Sean invent new ways to juggle.
Oh, you've got to be shitting me. I simply cannot. The very final episode of Bad Influence, their big feature for the episode, is a program showing a wireframe man juggling. This is what they chose to feature.
Of course, the computer can come up with patterns that are theoretically possible, but physically unlikely, like this one, the 35-ball cascade. Care to try that one, Sean?
I don't know what all the fuss is about. I've been practicing with one ball, and it's dead easy.
Insert sexual innuendo here. It's time for more reviews with some sort of celebrities. So let's find out who they've lined up to give us a pointless opinion.
Okay, the cars can be quite difficult to handle at first.
Oh, it's the same guests. That's rubbish. I didn't know who they were the first time. I'm not going to start caring now.
Before you get in the driver's seat, you have to choose a track and a car.
Well, it's pretty good information.
Right, sod it. I'll do my own guest reviews instead. Not only will they be better than whoever these guys are, they'll also do a far better job than the stupid bloody children they normally have on the show. So, let's go with... I don't know. What about that guy who stole some strawberries in a jungle? Ian something.
I like the hedgehog because when the hedgehog jumps, he makes a noise. And I don't like the fox because I only like hedgehogs.
Jesus Christ, he's even worse. Right, we need to bring one of the kids back then. Who have we been stalking recently? Posh Kid, you'll do.
In Sonic 2, there are lots of rings to collect, and I'd speculate these rings are worth quite a pretty penny.
Jesus wept. This is going to be a shit show. Not to mention the fact he seems to film the entire thing from inside the Ritz Hotel's toilet.
I like it when you collect rings and it makes a noise, but I don't like it as much as the hedgehog jump noise. I prefer that noise.
When you collect 100 rings, you gain an extra life, but I don't really see the point of that, because when you have a long life full of champagne and caviar, any more would simply be ghosts.
Fucking hate Chemical Plant Zone. But I really like the hedgehog jump noise.
In Sonic 2, there are lots of... Hey up, flower. Aye. Get the send down to cast marker, lass. Now knows it makes sense. Alright, we'll see you.
So, Sonic 2 for the Mega Drive, a classic game that everyone loved. The celebrities gave it 1 star out of 5 because there weren't enough hedgehogs. And the posh kids cashed all their stars in and bought a Tesla. So basically just a normal review score on Bad Influence.
Why am I doing this, right? You're watching Rose Tinted Spectrum, Dave or Mike, whatever his fucking name is, and you're thinking, I know that guy. That guy's Ian Lee. He's famous. He's famous. He famously saved a man's life on the radio. 3, actually. He was on the 11 o'clock show. He discovered Ricky Gervais and Ali G, didn't he? Yeah, I did. I was an I'm a Celebrity. Get me out of here. 2017. 15 million viewers. Now what am I doing? I'm on Rose Tinted Spectrum's Poxy channel. Here's the thing. It's an old man playing games that were shit 50 years ago. Guess what? They're double shit now. Oh, I'm going to go and play... I think I'm going to go and play Popeye on the Spectrum. All right. Why don't you play Fuck Off on the Spectrum?
Well, that was a shit show. Sometimes you just can't top perfection, apparently. And Bad Influence is... well, I mean...
Virtua Fighter 2 should be out later this month. You'll have to wait a little bit longer for Ridge Racer Revolution. By the way, thanks to John and Nicola for taking time out for their pantomimes to review those games for us. Nicola's in Cinderella at Stockport and John's in Beauty and the Beast in Ashton-under-Lyne. And speaking of beasts, what about the worst games? What about the turkeys? We now present the Bad Influence Guide to the worst games for all systems.
And Street Fighter the movie on the PlayStation is pretty putrid too. These black CDs may look great, but this one's better off in pieces.
Go on, love. Give it another shot. There we go.
Want a good racing game for the Jaguar? Then don't even think about Checkered Flag. You'd be a laughing stock if you bought this rancid racer.
I can actually feel the earth trembling with Jaguar collectors shaking right now.
And if you haven't got a super console, never fear, there are some turkeys lurking around on the old systems too. What about the positively putrid rise of the robots on the SNES?
And what game did you base your entire aesthetic around?
Only one thing to do with games like that.
That's it for this show and this series.
No, you were right with the first part of that sentence. Well, it's time to finally see this show off, and we could do that with the Shaman, but for obvious copyright reasons, we're not going to do that. And I guess it's only right to go out with a song, so...
Anti-violence kid and ghost girl 2. These were all the kids we knew, but their opinions were chuffing shite. Nuclear atom just wanted to fight. Goodbye, I'm watching for seasons made me go insane. It's time to disembark the Andy Crane train. Zed was dropped after series 3. He was sent to oblivion, so Violet could be free. And even Nam Rood went up for sale. He played a vicar in Emmerdale. Goodbye, I should probably mention Sonia Saul, but nobody cared about her at all. Nobody Goodbye, posh kid and smiley girl too. Goodbye, shit review. Scores that made me want to spew. But even when season 4 was jumping the shark, we still came through with the So Hail redemption. Goodbye, bad influence. I can't wait to never look at you again. Jesus Christ, I'm so glad this is done.
Right, well that's done and dusted. Wonder what's on the other channel. Oh, shit.